We're here, 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 we're here. We're in the space. Let me see.
And all of a sudden he has to act, and it's a very tough thing to act and to be shooting somebody. But he saw the gun, saw the smoke, saw the flame from the gun.
This doesn't sound bad, right?
Obviously has very good eyes. He's got very good vision, which I assume you have to have in that particular work. But he very quickly, and they say it was approximately 5 seconds from long range, one bullet. If that didn't happen, because the shooter had
I gotta go here. I gotta go through headphones. I hate it, but
Well, that's really, he was very confident in taking that shot, the attempted assassination. But
let's
there
see.
seems to be, I mean, some pretty significant failings elsewhere in the system. Like, there's just no way that,
Let's
how
see.
on earth does a shooter get on a roof 130 yards away?
Sound settings.
That seems crazy. I think most people
God is good.
Well, I view it as two ways. There should have been nobody on the roof. There were people, because there were so many tens of thousands of people there. There were people that were seeing him, and there was one woman with a red shirt and Trump all over it, and she's screaming. And that guy's got a gun. You saw it probably. There's a guy up there with a gun.
I mean, it's like I guess, I mean, for my part, and I think probably many members of the public are wondering how the heck are, basically people wandering by.
Hey, I'm doing this wrong, I think.
Guy on the roof with a gun.
Yeah.
And they're seeing it, but somehow it's not being addressed.
Let's see.
That just seems crazy.
Well, they're going to learn from this. The communication between the local police, who sort of had an idea, and then ultimately a man.
Okay, we're doing the slow motion.
Slow motion. Pull himself up, and he saw the man with the gun. The man with the gun pointed the gun at him. He thought he was probably going to get
I don't know how else to crop it, bro.
But, he was like pulling himself up. And because of that, he couldn't get to his gun.
We're going one by one. Hey, if it's not broken, don't fix it. We got to fix it somewhere.
His ankle.
It's shorten it somewhere.
Very badly, but he fell down.
It's working at least.
From what I understand, he did say there's a guy up there with a gun. And the shooting started very quickly after that. I think it forced the shooter to go maybe quicker. He was supposed to be a very good shot.
Yeah.
My sons, Don and Eric, they can't believe what happened, but they said from 130 yards, a bad shot would hit that target almost every time. They said it's like in golf, sinking a 2-foot putt.
Yeah, it's not a tough shot.
It's not a long shot. The Secret Service person had the long shot. He had triple the distance actually. So
the distance is crazy.
It was a terrible thing. It's hard. I have to say this about the Secret Service. When I went down, and I went down based on I think they're screaming, but other people also, because people saw this happen. You had so many people. One of the miracles was that nobody ran.
Nice.
If a gun goes off, the crowd control people showed us this.
Nice.
When guns go off, and it does happen in stadiums at a soccer match or some kind of a match.
Oh shit.
Everybody.
Wait, no.
They call it stampede, like cattle. But everybody, and a lot of people get killed with those stampedes. We had more people than you'd have at, some of these matches.
Why can't I make it capture like a specific window? Like, what the crust is this, man?
A small group behind us in the grandstand, and that was full. And you look at it as it was taking place, and normally they'd be running. They didn't.
How do I switch this, man?
Hurt. They saw a lot of blood, and they saw that I went down. And it's almost like they wanted to deal with me. Well, out
automatic.
You had thousands, tens of thousands of people. As far as the eye could see, you had people.
Hold on, let me see.
As far as the eye could see, and
okay.
Too. There was many cameras on watching this. It's what makes it so different, because normally things happen that aren't good, but you never have a picture of it. Here we have all these cameras shooting it, so sort of amazing. But one of the interesting things was that what are my specs here? You didn't have anybody stampede.
So
nobody, and there were some people behind me. They stood up and
1275.
You want to have them in a foxhole with you. I want to meet some of those people
Sure,
because
sure.
it's so different from what you heard. But so so I was down, but the Secret Service
Yeah,
guys, there were bullets flying right over
Okay.
my head. You could hear them go whizzing,
yeah,
and these guys came jumping
190.
on top of me, and a young lady, Kate, uh, would jump. They moved so
190.
fast.
Okay.
Let me tell you, that took tremendous courage. Now there was a lack of
Mm,
coordination.
280. Okay.
Obviously everybody understands that somebody that building should have been covered, and
yeah. I mean,
that was
I
the
think
big
that
thing.
like, I mean, looking at the aerial views, that building would be like the number one spot
600.
for a sniper. I mean, it's like the if you were to pick like what is the favorite, what if you so if the goal is to assassinate, what's your favorite spot? That building. The
You're
roof of
right.
that building would be number one.
That would have been the spot.
It's like you can ask for it
No, that is
now.
true though. I'm not gonna lie,
That would have
bro.
been the
Like
spot.
that spot being
You know
so
what
open is
people
just
think
like,
is
come on,
that
bro.
the local policeman, who
No,
by
that
the
spot
way
was literally like it
you
was
know,
like
he
in
did
Fortnite
what he was
terms,
supposed to
bro.
do. He couldn't hold on any longer.
He had height, bro. Like he
And
had
then
height,
when he
bro.
got
Yeah,
his head just peeking above, this
Like, that
guy
was so
standing there with
free.
a gun at his head, and
And he head dinked
when
the
he fell
president,
down
bro.
again, hurt his ankle very badly. But he was making the calls
Oh my
because
gosh,
what
look at this,
happened is
bro.
the
Look
firing
at everybody going
was very
crazy.
soon. So what they
yeah,
think is that this guy ran to his site, which he had all planned out with the
Let's
gun.
see.
He ran to the site and he started shooting fast, and maybe that's why he sort of missed. I mean,
The
he
yeah. But
assassination
as you
got
said,
was
me, but
you
it
would have
could have
been.
been
incredible.
I
Was
mean,
an incredible thing.
could have been a much
yeah.
Ain't
bigger
nobody
problem.
cares about the failed
But you
assassination.
probably
To
would have
man,
been
let it go.
if you hadn't turned your head. So, but like there was
No compassion.
it was a very near thing.
It
Elon's
was a
nervous as
miracle. If I
fuck.
hadn't turned my head,
Yeah,
I would not be talking to you right
Maybe.
now. As much as I like you,
exactly.
I
Some
would
guy
not.
Elon
Yeah, it's
I
stuttering.
would
double.
not
I
be
can
talking
hear
to you.
Elon now. You.
To be from another realm, perhaps.
Yeah,
Uh.
we'd be talking from a different realm.
Uh.
But it was
My God,
it was
started off
it was a very terrible
hot mic
experience.
again. Trump had
The
to mute
Butler
himself.
Hospital, they did such a great job.
Wait, what did Karina say?
The doctors were so good. Everybody was
Who's
so
this
good.
guy? Still
There
haven't
was
figured it
there
out.
was a mistake. If somebody knew, because
Okay.
people were hearing, there was just a bad
All right, let's see
feeling because
Hassan out here
nobody was
coping. Like,
around.
what?
You know that story now. It's been pretty.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you see this
If
panda
somebody
right here? Like,
because
what
they
is this, bro?
oftentimes,
Nobody cares about
like
nearly
the
somebody
lightning
dying.
storm
Like,
or something. Because I've done.
this is not a human
I think
response right
overtime
here.
under. I
Like,
think I did
there's
a
no
lot more than
humanity in a
I
person
did
who
a lot.
says this,
And
bro.
oftentimes they'll say,
It
"Sir,
doesn't
could you
matter if
wait
it's
10 minutes, please?
if
Sir,
it's
could you
either
wait
party,
20 minutes?
bro.
There's a storm overhead
It's
or
a human
lightning or
being.
something, right?" And
Yeah,
that happens often.
yeah.
And this would have been a
Like,
perfect
have
time for
some
that to
fucking
have
heart,
happened.
my
But
nigga.
it
Fuck,
Yeah.
didn't get coordinated. That was the problem.
have some fucking heart.
Well, it was your. I
Well,
think
they're saying that
your actions in
it's
the
not a
heat of
an interview. It's just
fire
a conversation.
like what I find admirable there was that you can't fake bravery under such circumstances. The courage is instinctual or it is not. It's not a rehearsed action. And
Okay,
so I
yeah,
just want to
true.
say that I think a lot of people admire your courage under fire there. And
Well,
yeah, so
thank you
yeah,
very much. I appreciate it.
He
I
lucky
didn't
is
think of
stuttering
it. I
though.
just
But I
wanted to
think
get
it's like
up,
I thought that was just like
and I
kind
wanted
of
to
how Elon
stand up. I
talks,
wanted
though,
to let
no?
people know. I felt I was
But it's not just Trump. I think it's
when
like
they were on top of me,
there's
covering
a
me,
million
actually,
people in
very much
here.
covering me, and
You're
very bravely. But
talking
I
to a
wanted to
million
get up.
people
I
at
said I
once.
want to
Like
get up,
imagine,
and
imagine the pressure of
they
talking to a
wanted,
million people. Why am I
they have
liking that?
everything there. They
All
wanted
right,
a
let me stop
stretcher. I
scrolling,
didn't
bro.
like the stretcher, and I knew I was hit in the ear, but I knew I wasn't hit anywhere
If
else.
I
They
keep
felt I
scrolling, it's
was hit
over, bro.
someplace else
yeah,
because it was such a lot of blood,
I keep
and they were
scrolling, it's
sure that
over,
I was hit
bro.
someplace else, and they were saying, "Sir, you were hit in more than the ear." I said, "Nope, I was hit in the ear. I want to get up."
Wait,
And
what?
let me
Why
get
is
up.
this
And
it?
so I
Wait,
got
whoa,
up,
whoa.
and the crowd didn't know what to think. I mean, this was so many people, and you
Hey,
could
yo,
see they
I
were
can
confused. They didn't
hear
know
him
what to
moving.
think.
Like I can hear him
And
doing like his
I
thing.
wanted to let them know I was okay.
And the way
It
he
was
just like
very
moved there.
important for
Wait,
me to let them
yeah,
know that. And they
why
went
can't I move this
wild.
here? Like,
You've seen the after. They didn't go wild
what
when
the
I got
crust
up
is
because they didn't
this?
know was I alive. You really couldn't tell when I stood up before the fist in the air. Uh,
The
they didn't
crust.
know if I was alive. Nobody did. And when I put the fist up, they were just relieved and happy and thrilled, and the place went
Let's see.
crazy. It was pretty
yeah.
amazing. It was a
Well,
terrible thing, but it was pretty amazing.
incredibly moving. Yeah. Well, and I mean, speaking of the, the the sort of slide that got you to turn that saved your life really was the illegal immigration
Right.
slide. Maybe this,
That's right.
maybe this is worth talking about that
It
since
was. It was.
that slide
You're
saved your
right.
life
No, the
basically.
illegal immigration saved my life. You're right, but it was. No, I
I
had to
know
be at
that's.
the exact angle.
I mean that's a great one.
That's
saved
crazy to
saved by
say.
illegal
You know
immigration.
the incredible
100%.
thing though, when you talk about the odds, you had to be exactly at that angle. But the
Yeah.
incredible thing is that the chart I used it less than 20% of the time. It was just a moment.
Yeah.
It's always on my left, never my right, and it's always at the end of the speech. So here
Yeah.
we have it. It's on the right, not the left. It's at the beginning, not the end. And even the people that put it up, they were unprepared, and they did a great job. They got it up immediately, fortunately. But I looked to the right,
Hmm,
and the bullet
interesting.
came whizzing by, hitting my ear. So it was amazing. But when you think of the odds of that, and
Yeah. Yeah.
you know that normally you wouldn't use it. Normally I wouldn't have the thing, and then it
Yeah.
would have been a very different story. It's very much.
And
I
cream.
I say an act of God. It's a miracle that
No, that
it
has to be God
happened,
though.
and
That has to be
I'm
God though.
Sure.
honored
You know,
by
the
it.
universe
I'm
wills it
honored by
so.
it.
Well, what were you about to say
Bro,
about
see, this
illegal
shit smells
immigration
so
before we got
good, bro. You
rudely
understand?
interrupted?
Like, I
Well, I
smell
was going
so
to say
good.
how
You don't
good the numbers
understand.
were. By the way, we're going back to Butler, and we're going to go
Great.
back in October. We're all set up, and the people are fantastic in Butler. It's a
2 seconds.
it's a great area. Great. These are incredible people. Like the three that, in the case of Corey, killed, and the other two, the families are. I got to know them a little bit, and the families are great. But we're going back to Butler, and I think I'll probably start by saying, as I was saying,
As you
prior
were
to
saying,
being
exactly.
so
So,
horribly interrupted.
yeah,
But
yeah. So rudely interrupted by an
yeah,
assassination
so it was.
attempt.
But no, but the chart,
Some people have no manners.
Elon, the chart was just a chart that in my last week we had the best illegal immigration numbers, meaning stopping. It was at the lowest. You've seen the chart. It's become quite a famous
Yeah,
chart,
yeah,
but that was the
Hmm.
lowest
yeah.
point ever recorded. It was a really, I mean, I was very proud of those numbers. And then you see what happened with these people, Kamala and Joe. You see what happened. They just let it go. I had remain in Mexico policies. I had all
Isn't it
these
weird
different
that like
policies that was so
we're at the
good.
time,
Uh,
we're at the point
Guys
like
like Tom
reality where
Ullman
like
and
we can sit here and watch two
Brandon Judd
billionaires
from
just like
Border
yeah.
Patrol. All these are all people that they've been on television. They says the best numbers we've ever had. We had so many different checks, catch and release in Mexico, not the United. We had catch and release in the United States. We had it in Mexico. We had so many things. We
I find
had
that interesting.
things where if many people come in there, they have contagious diseases. We had everything passed. If you have a contagious disease, I'm sorry, but we cannot allow you into the country. So we were setting
Yeah.
literally records, and I all I was doing is showing that, and
Bro, wait, I want to see what
I
Tom is
use
talking
it
about. Let me see. Let me
sometimes,
see.
Sure.
and in this case, I'm glad
It's
I used
probably
it.
due to
I can
audio
tell you that,
comprehension issues, but Trump sounds like
but
he has a
they were
list.
fantastic numbers. But I'm going to sleep with that chart always.
Bro,
I'll be sleeping with that chart.
Hassan,
That
with the
chart
worst takes possible.
was
We
very important for a
getting
lot of reasons.
Well,
we
I
getting
mean,
it
I
fixed
mean,
right now. Y'all be
would
patient.
it be accurate to say that you're supportive of legal immigration,
Baron,
but
am I doing it right?
we obviously need to shut
Wait,
down
is this where he is
illegal
right now?
immigration, and especially unvetted
Yes.
illegal immigration, because and that's not the same as saying that
Imagine.
everyone who's an illegal immigrant is
I mean,
bad.
I know
In
it's
fact,
daylight outside, but
um,
like maybe
I
he's
think
like
most
somewhere. I
people
don't
who
know.
are illegal immigrants are actually good,
He's
but
out
you
chill.
can't tell a difference unless there's a solid vetting of who comes
It's
across the border.
starting.
Does that
Baron, am I doing it right?
accurately represent your
Let me
position?
I say it
Okay.
very simply. They have to come in legally. They have to be checked.
Yeah.
see. Look,
Because look, Kamala was the border czar. Now she's denying it. Everything that I do, she's
Yeah.
saying she was strong on the border. We're going to be strong. Well, she doesn't have to say it. She could close it up right now. They could do things right now. It's horrible. Uh, no tax on tips, and all of a sudden she's making a speech and there will be no tax on tips. I said that months ago.
no, she hella did steal
And
that
by the way,
policy, bro.
they
Let's be
did the
honest.
opposite. They had not only tax on tips, but they hired 88,000 IRS agents, and many of them were assigned to go get waitresses and caddies and all of this on tips. They have a policy. They had a policy that they were really going to go after you and were really harassing people horribly. And then all of a sudden, for politics, she says, she comes out with what I said, which I think is terrible, and I think it's also hitting them very hard. These people are fake. Now they're also saying they
Oh,
did a
that's
good job in the border.
hilarious.
We had the worst numbers in the
A rare
history of the
Juju
world, not
W.
of our country. There's never been a country in history that has had a catastrophe like this. We've had, I believe, and I think you believe this too. You hear 12
Yeah.
million, 13. I believe it's over 20 million people came into our country,
Yeah.
many coming from jails, from prisons, from mental institutions, or a bigger version of that is
Yeah.
insane asylums, and many are terrorists. And I'll tell you what, they're coming not just from South America, they're coming from Africa, they're coming from all over the world. They're coming from Asia, they're
Yeah.
coming from the Middle East,
Well, I mean, the
they're
immigrants are
coming
immigrants,
from
so
countries that are uh,
they're not allowed. They're not allowed, bro.
stupidly and horribly bombing Israel October 7th. They're coming from all over the world. And you look at it's so sad October 7th because it should have never happened.
Yeah.
It's so sad
Sure.
when you look at Ukraine. It should have never happened. We have a defective
Yeah.
government. These are defective people, and they're not people that should be running it. But where you see it the best is the border because you have millions of people coming in a month, and then she gets up and she tries to
Hold
pretend
on.
like she's going to do something. She had 3.5 years. And by the way, they have another 5 months that they can do something, but they
Yeah.
won't do anything. It's all talk. She's
No.
incompetent and he's incompetent. And frankly, I think that she's more incompetent than he is. And that's saying something because he's not too good.
Yeah. No, I think it is essential
Donald Trump
to
tells
have a secure
Elon he
border.
believes
I mean, you're really
more
not a
in God now
country
after
unless you have
surviving
a
Correct.
the
secure border.
assassination attempt.
And
And
uh,
secure
For
elections.
those who
you
don't
know,
believe in God, they're gonna have to start
yeah,
thinking about
absolutely
that.
secure elections.
I'm more
And
of a believer now.
so
I'm
so
telling you,
it's
bro.
just essential to have a real border, or
God is
we
real, bro.
can't function as
It
a
might not be the
country,
man-made God,
and our
but
service,
definitely
our essential services are being
definitely a
overwhelmed in a lot
thing.
of cities. Um, and as we were talking about earlier, I think having um, a legal immigration process that is smooth and efficient and done well. And
Wait,
speaking as someone who is a legal immigrant, and I think
look,
I mean, like one way
is
to
this
think of it
real?
is, who do you want on your team?
Trump campaign
Um,
office in Virginia has been broken
who do
into.
you want on Team America?
Donald
And
Trump got
I
this
think
nigga
we want to
blushing and
just
stuttering
say,
like he
okay,
talking to high school
we want
crush.
to let in people who are gonna, be great contributors to our society and to our economy,
Right.
and
Wait, people were saying the Democrats
and
broke into
who do you want on the team?
his
And
campaign office.
it's not to say that, like in my opinion, actually, I'd say like probably most of the illegal immigrants actually are actually good, hardworking people. That's my opinion. But some are not, and and you just have this sort of adverse selection process where, if somebody's if somebody's like you know uh, has a career in theft or robbery, I don't understand what's taken them so long to get here, because we're such a target-rich environment. Um, I mean, why aren't more people who have a career in, bad things coming here
Is it
sooner? Because
frozen?
I mean, it's a piece of cake to go rob, houses in LA or New York, compared to other parts of the world. And, in a lot of places in America, if you try to stop the person who's robbing you, you'll be arrested.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
It's
insane.
it's right. I mean, what's happening with crime, and our police are so good, but they're not allowed to do their job. But I have to tell you, Elon, I
They're
hate
not.
to say because it's such a downer to say it. I hate to say it. I hate it, but uh, you have a lot of people that just shouldn't be. I think it's a much bigger number than you think. They're
I
allowing
think you're
again.
right.
They're
Yeah.
allowing people from their jails, and if you were running one of these countries where they're coming from, you would have had all of them. As an example, Venezuela, their crime is down 72%. They're taking their drug dealers. They're taking, frankly, their prisoners. They're emptying out their prisons. They're taking their criminals, their murderers, their rapists, and they're
Yeah.
delivering them into the.
That's what Castro did.
Yeah,
That
well, he did on a
he
much smaller scale.
yeah,
It was a much smaller
yeah.
scale. But this is a massive scale because this is being done worldwide. But here's what's happening: crime all over the world is down. And wait till you see the numbers that we have. This is migrant crime. This is crime that's going to be.
Yeah.
And I saw it today in New York where somebody was knifed. where they raped the girlfriend of a man that stood there watching in New York in one of the shelters, and started
Sure.
pulling out the knives, and bad things happen today. But this is happening every day. These are rough people. These are people that are in jail for
Yeah.
murder and all sorts of things, and they're releasing them into our country, and they're telling them, if you come back, we're going to kill you. We're going to give you the death penalty or kill you. So they don't want to come back. But these are rough people.
Yeah.
These are criminals that make our criminals look like nice people, and
I'm
it's
just. I'm just.
horrible what they're doing. And she's in charge of it, because now she's trying to say she
Sure.
had nothing to do with it, and she's such a liar, because she was called the border czar the first day, and it was on the headlines of every newspaper. She's the border czar, and she never even went there. She went to one location which had nothing to do with where the problem is. She went in and out, I
Right.
guess, because she was getting a lot of pressure,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
had nothing to do where the problem
Yeah.
is. But she was
Well.
the
Well.
border czar, and the people
Yeah. Yeah.
can't allow them to get away with their disinformation campaign. Now she's trying to say that she wasn't. She wasn't really involved, and the whole thing is horrible. She was totally in charge. She could have shut the border down without him. He didn't know what he was doing anyway, so he wouldn't have even known
Yeah.
what happened. You could shut the border down; he
Yeah.
wouldn't even know the difference. But uh, the fact is that she was border czar. But if you don't have to call her
Yes.
that, the fact is you could just call her. She was in charge of the border, and the border was the worst
Right.
ever.
It's simply not working.
No,
It's
it's
I mean
horrible.
whether it's by whether it's a question of intention or competence. Either way, we don't have a secure border, and we have people streaming over like it looks like a World War Z zombie apocalypse at times. And sometimes you got to sort of wonder, like, is it real or not? So because you see things, you're like, is it real? So I went to the border at Eagle Pass, and I saw for myself in Texas, and I was like, okay, it's real. I'm like seeing this in real time. I actually posted the video like just live. I just flew there one day and just to see, hey, is this made up or real? And I'm just seeing people stream across the border, and and I have to say, at least the people that I saw did not look friendly.
These
So
these are
people
people.
can look at my video and say, hey,
Yeah.
does these people look friendly? I don't look super friendly. So
These are people that
um,
Elon would not be the same man if he had to walk across the street and look these people in the eye. These are rough people. These are really rough people coming across. And I know rough
Interesting.
people. And these are people that we don't want in our country. And the caravans are coming in, and they're putting, and who's doing this are the heads of the countries. And you would be
yeah,
doing it, and so would I. And everyone would say, oh, what a terrible thing to say. The fact is, it's brilliant for them, because they're taking all of their bad people, really bad people. And I hate to say this, the reason the numbers are much bigger than you would think is they're also taking their non-productive people. Now, these aren't people that will kill you. We have enough of them, but these are people that are non-productive. They are just not productive. I mean, for whatever reason, they're not
yeah, yeah,
workers, or they don't want to work, or whatever. And these countries are getting rid of non-productive people in the caravans in many cases, and they're also getting rid of their murderers and their drug dealers and the people that are
yeah,
really brutal people. And they're coming into our country
yeah,
at levels that have
Jesus
never been seen
Christ.
before. And I saw an ad just before I got on the
That
air.
is
I'm
smoking a
walking
crack.
over here, and I saw an ad by Kamala saying how she is going to provide
People
border
forgot that in a
security.
brief
Where has
period of
she
time,
been for
Elon Musk
three
was
and
an
a half
illegal
years? For
immigrant.
3.5 years,
yeah. No, no.
Then
they
he
have
became
20
legal,
million
right?
people
I
poured
think
in.
is
It's a terrible
Yeah, I
thing.
think this, frankly, I think this is a fundamental existential issue for the United States. And if we have another 4 more years of open borders, and it's going to be even worse with another 4 more years, it's going to be even worse than it's been for the past,
How many
three and
people
a half
forget that
years.
brief period of time
Uh,
Elon Musk was
I'm
an
not sure
illegal
we've got a country
You
immigrant?
don't
left
have a country
at that
left.
point.
Elon, if they get in, you will
There's
have
no way
50
Hassan's
to
real. I'm
60
sorry.
million people from all over the world, not South America only. We think of South America, we
There's
think
just
of
no way.
Honduras and El Salvador, Guatemala, and Mexico, the four. But it's not that. It's everywhere. They're coming in from
Yeah,
everywhere. And I had to stay in
yeah, I think
Mexico.
this is a super important
Yeah.
point. Like people, it's like basically when I went down there, I was like, well, where are people from? It's like almost no one was from Mexico. To be
No,
clear,
Mexico
it's
less,
it's just it's just
less
it's
than
just the
the others.
border. It's just the border with Mexico. But the people coming in, it's Earth, the rest of Earth, and America is only about 4 or 5% of the population of Earth, it would only take a few percent of the rest of Earth to overwhelm everything in the
We're
U.S.
already
So
overwhelmed, Elon. We're overwhelmed. You had to see the news tonight about New York. New York, and I love that place, and what they're doing to it is horrible, what they're doing to it. And all the courts do is they
yeah,
try and focus on Trump. Okay, let's focus on Trump, who did nothing wrong. I complain about a rigged election. Elon, what's happened is unbelievable. You have from Africa, from the Congo, they're coming from the Congo, and 22 people came in from the Congo recently, and they're murderers, and they're dropped. They drop them. They take them out of jails, which is very expensive, to maintain the jails. Although they don't do too much maintaining, I can tell you. But they take them out of jails, prisons. They take them out, and they bring them to the United States. They deposit them in the United States and say, "Don't ever come back, or you're going to be executed." And they don't want to come back, but they won't come back.
sure.
But they're coming from Africa. They're coming from Asia. They're coming from the Middle East. They're coming from South
Well,
America.
just
They're
Earth,
coming from
rest of Earth,
everywhere.
basically.
And there are a lot of
Yeah,
really
everywhere on
bad
Earth.
ones.
It's just a it's just an everywhere on Earth thing, and it's just not possible for the United States to absorb everyone from Earth, or even a few percent of the rest of Earth. It's
I'm
just
not
not
gonna lie,
possible.
bro. I don't know if
So
I'm
Elon, we're going
tripping,
to
right?
have
uh,
I feel like there's a lot of like repeating stuff.
history of this
Wait,
country, and we have no
why does it
choice.
keep like
Otherwise, we're
it
going to have a
keeps
country.
moving?
What they've done to our country.
The
Think of
space
it.
keeps moving,
With
bro.
in Venezuela and in some of these other countries, crime is
Like I
down
keep
50,
having to
60,
crop it like
70,
8 different fucking
80%.
times.
And you would be the same. You would have.
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
tell you what. Venezuela has not gotten rid of all of them. They've gotten rid of about 70% of their really bad people. Their jails are about 50% uh, put into the United States. Same with other countries. Some
sure.
are 30%, some are at 50%. They're all different. But the bottom line is they're all going to be at 100%. Why wouldn't you put 100% of?
Yeah,
And they're doing it right now while this third-rate phony candidate. Don't forget, I beat Biden. He failed in the debate miserably. And, some people said, oh, gee, it's too bad. It's too bad he did so badly, or I did well in the debate. The first night they said, wow. One of the people at CNN said that was the greatest debate performance I've ever witnessed. And then 2 days later, they didn't talk about that. They just said he was bad. But that's okay. That's the way I get treated, and I don't mind that at all. What I can tell you is this: we cannot have a Democrat. We cannot have her. She's incompetent. She's as bad as Biden in a
it's
different. Look,
yeah.
she hasn't done an
I mean,
interview since this
yeah,
whole scam started.
well,
And say what you want. This
yeah,
was a coup. This was a coup of a president of the United States. He didn't want to leave, and they said we can do it the nice
yeah.
way or we can do it the
No,
hard way.
yeah. Not,
Interesting.
I mean, they just took him out back behind the shed and basically shot him.
Oh, what they did
Biden.
with this guy,
So
and I'm no
yeah,
fan of his, and he was a horrible president, the worst president in history. And one of the reasons he was so bad, first of all, the Israeli attack would have never happened. Russia would never have attacked Ukraine, and we'd have no inflation. And we wouldn't have had the Afghanistan mess, if you think of it,
well,
and we wouldn't have had
yeah,
Afghanistan. But we think of it,
well, yeah.
you take a few of those events away, and we have a different world. We would also have
No,
no
no, you're yeah.
inflation was caused by oil.
Yeah, no, no. I think you're making an excellent point here, which is that when other countries can, that are, are thinking about invading or doing bad things,
It's about
when they're
oil,
thinking
really?
about that, they're thinking about, okay, what's the American president going to do, and do they fear the American president,
So the
or is
energy
it
wasn't
someone
efficient.
they
Is that
do
what we're
not
saying?
respect, or and do not fear? And I
Interesting.
think they would they rightfully be. I mean, look at that the footage of the assassination. They're like, okay, uh, President Trump is like, don't mess with me. I mean, that's like, whereas I think people are not going to be, and they obviously have not been at all intimidated by Biden, and they certainly will not be intimidated by Kamala. And you have to really think of that in the context of global security. That if the American president is someone that, like, evil dictators are scared of, that makes a huge difference to the security of the world.
So I had a good relationship with Putin, despite the Russia hoax that lasted for over 2 years. Just a hoax created by Hillary Clinton and Adam Shifty Schiff, some just bad people, just sick people, frankly. I mean, Schiff is a sick person. He's going to end up probably being a senator. It's hard to believe. The whole thing is hard to believe. But they put our country in danger with that stuff too. They actually, when they make up stories, and you have to fight your way out of it for a long time. But I know Putin very well. I got along with him very well. He respected me, and it's just one of those things. And we would talk a lot about Ukraine. It was the apple of his eye. But I said, don't ever do it. Don't ever do it. I shut down Nord Stream 2. That was the big oil pipeline, the biggest, I think, the biggest pipeline in the world going all over Europe. I shut it down. Biden came, and then they say,
Yeah.
I loved Russia. I was a friend of Putin, and I loved Russia. No, he actually said to me one time, he said, if you're my friend, I'd hate to see you as an enemy. I shut down his pipeline, the biggest pipeline. They were looking at that to
Yeah.
fund, and this pathetic president gets in there, and the first thing he did, one of the early things he did, is he shut down Keystone XL pipeline, which is our pipeline that would have employed 48,000 people, pipeline workers, shuts it down. That was, a
Oh,
massive
didn't that like
job
crush the middle
that
class or something?
Obama refused to allow.
Yeah.
I allowed it in my first week because it was jobs and it moved oil. And by the way, in a much more environmentally friendly way. It's underground. It's not a truck that catches on fire or a train that catches on fire. But think of it. He shut down the uh, XL pipeline, the Keystone XL pipeline.
Yeah.
He shuts that down and he approves the Russian pipeline,
Yeah, it doesn't make any
right?
sense. It's like it's inconsistent. Um, Certainly, but I mean, I think it's just worth emphasizing, to listeners that the immense importance of whether the United States president is intimidating or not intimidating, and how much that matters to global security, because there's some real tough characters out there, and if they don't think the American president is tough, they will do what they want to do,
I know every one of
and
them.
it puts the whole
Yep.
world in danger.
Elon, I know every one
It's a
of them,
big
and I know
deal.
them well. I know
Yeah,
Putin. I know President Xi. I know Kim Jong Un of North Korea. I know every one of them. And let me tell you, people will say, "Oh, this is terrible." He said, "I'm not saying anything good or bad. They're at the top of their game. They're tough. They're smart. They're vicious, and they're going to protect their country. Whether they love their country, they probably do. It's just a different form of love, but they're going to protect their country. But these
yeah,
are tough people at the top of their game. And when they see a Kamala or when they see Biden, Sleepy Joe, they can't even
yeah,
believe it. They can't believe this happened. All the
Hmm.
stuff that you're seeing now, all the horror that you look at Israel, they're all waiting for an attack from Iran. Iran would not be attacking, believe me. When I was there, and I say it with respect because I think we would have been good with Iran.
What
I
am
don't
I
want to do
looking
anything
at?
bad to
Ew.
Iran, but they knew not to mess around. Iran was broke because I told China, if you buy from Iran oil, it's all about the oil. That's where the money is. But if you buy oil
True.
from Iran, you're not going to do any business with the United States. And I meant it.
What's the
And they
crush?
said, we'll
Well,
yeah,
pass.
yeah.
They didn't buy oil. Other countries, likewise.
Sure.
You want to buy, you're not doing business with the United States. And they were at a point where they had no money for Hamas. They had no money for Hezbollah. They had no money for any of these instruments of terror. And it was amazing. In fact, there were articles when I was leaving, which is hard to believe, actually, especially when you look at what's happened to our country. Our country is so bad right now. It's such a different place. We were respected. Think of it. 4 years ago, we were so respected to a point where when I said don't buy oil, they didn't buy oil, but they had no
Yeah,
money,
yeah.
and Israel would have never been attacked. Zero chance. And again, I said to Vladimir Putin,
once
I said,
again, it
don't do it.
moves. Like, look
You
at that.
can't
Why
do
does
it,
it
Vladimir.
move?
You do it, it's going to be a bad day. You cannot do it. And
Why does it
I told him
move?
things that what I do, and he said, no way. And I said, way. And it's the last time we ever had the conversation. He would never have done. I got along well with him. I hope to get
I
along
said,
well with him again.
you said no
Getting
way. I
along
said
well with them is a
way.
good thing, not a bad thing. I got along
Oh
well
my
with
Yeah.
Kim
fucking
Jong Un.
God. That's too
When I
funny.
met with President Obama just before entering, it's a sort of a ritual. And I sat down with him and we talked. It was supposed to be for a very short period of time. It turned out to be a long period of time. I said, what's the biggest problem? He said, North Korea. I had that problem worked out very quickly. It was nasty at the beginning with Rocket Man and all the different things,
Yeah.
but all of a
Jump
sudden I got a
man.
call.
Those were some epic tweets, by the way.
Yeah, they were.
Those
No, they
Jump
were
were
man.
epic.
really.
Everything. He said that he has a red button on his desk. I said, I have a red button on my desk too, but my red button is much bigger, and my red button works. And then I called him
Yeah.
Little Rocket Man of Little Rocket Man. Anyway, here's the bottom line. All of a sudden, I got a call from him, and they said they want to meet. They want to meet me, and we met.
Yeah.
As you remember, we met in Singapore. We met also in Vietnam, and I got along with him great. We were
Yeah.
in no danger. But
Yeah. It's
President
because
Obama
they
thought we were going to end up in
Yeah.
a war, a nuclear war with him. And let me tell you, he's
Yeah.
got
He
a lot of
uses light
nuclear stuff
mode.
too.
Exactly.
He's
Why
got
light
plenty of
mode? Light mode's
nuclear.
crusty, bro.
He can do plenty of damage. So
Bad
Yeah,
on the
I mean,
eyes.
because I mean, people like Kim Jong Un, they respond to
yeah,
strength, not weakness.
well,
And
he and I got
if you
he and I
project
had a good
strength,
relationship.
you're good.
Remember,
Yeah.
I met him and we walked onto his land. Nobody ever walked onto his land before. I walked onto. I wouldn't say.
Yeah,
Let's
that
bring
was
up
cool.
Secret Service again. I wouldn't say they were thrilled when I did that. I walked onto his land, and it was an amazing period. But we were not in danger with him because of me. You know, I always
Yeah.
say that we have enemies on the outside and we have enemies on the inside. We have some really bad people in our government and people that are and controlling of the people.
Okay,
I
look at
mean, I'd
this.
mention names, but I really don't want to give them
Oh,
the
so
credit.
when
But
I
we have
okay,
some really bad, and I say
so
they're more dangerous than Russia
Lil
and
Pump,
China.
all these
If
pedophiles I'm
you have
catching are
a
voting for Kamala
smart
Harris.
a president that gets
Oh,
it,
okay.
we are not in
She's
danger
just
from
one
those
of us for
countries
real.
because they need us and they need our help. I mean, we forced Obama. If you think about it, Obama and Biden,
Isn't that crazy? Like,
and
look
Bush
at where
to a
he is
certain
at. Like,
extent,
where
in
is
all
he at? Like,
fairness,
look at where he's at right
forced
now.
Russia and China
Why is everything always
together.
so old?
And
Like, I
if
get
you're a
like the
history student,
president's
the first
supposed to
thing
be
you learn
like,
is
you
you
know, but
cannot
like,
let
why do we got
Russia
this
and
old
China
vibe still
align.
here? Like,
But then they also got, if you take a look,
it feels
Iran
presidential, but
and
it
they have
feels
North Korea.
outdated.
That's, you know, they call it the axis of evil. In the old days, you had the axis of evil. Here we
At
have
least
a
he's willing
modern
to
day
do this,
axis
though.
of evil.
You know,
These are powerful countries, very heavy nuclear, which is the biggest threat.
Yeah.
You know, the biggest threat is not global warming, where the ocean's going to rise one eighth of an inch over the next 400 years. And you'll have more oceanfront property, right? The biggest threat is not that. The biggest threat is nuclear warming, because we have 5 countries
Well,
now that
yeah.
have significant nuclear power, and we have to not allow anything to happen with stupid people like Biden. You know, Biden did something with Russia. There was no chance of him ever going in. And when I left, and then after I left, they started forming big armies on the border with Ukraine, right? And I looked at that, and I thought he was doing that because Putin's a good negotiator. I thought he was doing that to negotiate. But then Biden started saying such stupid things. For instance, he said that uh, it can be a NATO country. Now, Russia, for as long as there's been NATO, has said we're never going to agree to that, and we go right up front and say that. And we did things and said things through this president with a low IQ, very low IQ. He had a low IQ 30 years ago, by the way, but now he might not even have a IQ at all. There's nothing on the board that goes this low. He said things that were so stupid that that war would have been that war had zero chance of happening if I were there. Zero chance. He was saying everything
Yeah.
the opposite. Everything the opposite. And it's so sad because many more people have been killed in Ukraine than you read about. You don't read about how bloody it is and how disastrous.
Sure.
Hey, look, just in the two armies, you lost 500,000 people, and
Yeah.
you know Ukraine's having a hard time. Ukraine, I don't know if you saw
Yeah.
the article recently, and it's true. You don't hear the true story, but if you think about it, Russia's gone. You know, Russia defeated Germany with us, and they defeated Napoleon. You know, they've been around a long time. They're a big fighting force,
Yeah. Sure.
and it's
Of course.
very unfair. And Ukraine now doesn't have enough men. They're now using young men and very old men to fight, and we're in a very bad position. And I'm not going to blame exclusively, but I can tell you I could have stopped that, and a smart president could have stopped that. It wouldn't have happened.
Oh, that's funny.
But we had
Yeah.
a man that actually made it. It made it more prevalent. It was so bad. The words that he was using, the stupid threats coming from a stupid face that he was using. I said, this guy's going to cause us a war. He's going to cause us. And let me tell you,
Yeah.
it can
Yeah.
lead to World War III. That can lead to World War III. The Middle East can lead to. We have numerous places that could end up in a
Yeah.
World War III right now for no reason
No,
whatsoever.
I think you're right. I think people underrate the risk of World War III, and it's just when you're looking at the risk of global thermonuclear warfare, it's game over for humanity, and that's it's something that people have, I think, after the end of the Cold War, people have become complacent about, but they actually have forgotten that there are currently a lot of nuclear missiles that have targeting parameters for the United States from other
100%.
countries.
And one of the things
And
we're going to do is
it's
we're going to
yeah,
build an Iron Dome over us. Israel has it. We're going to have the best Iron Dome in the world. We need it, and we're going to make it all in the United States. But we're going to have protection because it just takes one maniac to start something. We're going to have protection, and we're going to have. Why shouldn't we have an Iron Dome? Israel has one. Some other places
yeah,
have one that nobody even knows about, frankly. But Israel has it. We're going to have an Iron Dome. But with all of that being said, to me that's so important, the most important. But with all of that being said, the election's coming up,
Who
and
is
the
that?
people want to hear about the economy and the fact that they
absolutely sure.
can't buy groceries because they don't have enough money to buy groceries. The inflation has killed them. Food prices are up 50, 60, even 100% in some cases. And this stupid administration allowed this to happen. And it's a shame. And that's the thing that people most care about, in my opinion. They care about the border a lot. And we discussed the border at great length. It's nice to have a
Yeah, yeah.
forum
Yeah.
like this where I can discuss something at length. And by the way, do you think Biden could do this interview? Do you think that Kamala could do this interview? They would take a pass on
No, they
you.
could not.
So they don't need Elon. They don't need Elon screaming out questions. It's it's pretty sad when you think that somebody that does this for a living can't answer a question or is afraid to do an interview. And in her case, with a very friendly interview, she's got all friendly interviewers. It's pretty sad.
Yes,
But the
absolutely.
big thing now is the
Well,
economy, Elon.
yeah,
And as much as
yeah,
I mean, I view nuclear as the single most important thing, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't understand that. But it doesn't have to. If I understand it, that's all you need. Because if I was president, you're not going to have that kind of a problem. But the thing that they really is making them angry is what Kamala and Biden have allowed to happen to the economy. It's a disaster with inflation. The inflation, it
yeah.
doesn't matter what you make. The inflation has eaten you alive. If you're a
They said this
worker
nigga Elon
or if you're
stuttering in front of all the bad bitches.
just a middle income person, you can't afford. 4 years ago, 5 years ago, people were saving a lot of money. Today, they're using
Yeah.
all their money and borrowing money just to live. It's a horrible thing
Right.
that's happening, and we'll end that
Well, I think
quickly.
a lot of yeah, a lot of people just don't understand where inflation comes from. Inflation comes from government overspending because the checks never bounce when it's written by the government. So if the government spends far more than it brings in, that increases the money supply, and if the money supply increases faster than the rate of goods and services,
That's right.
that's inflation. Um, so really, we need to have we need to reduce our government spending, and we need to re-examine. I think we need like a government efficiency commission to say like, hey, where are we spending money that's sensible? Where is it not
Right.
sensible? And we need to live within our means. We're currently adding, I think, $1 trillion to the deficit every roughly
Right.
every 100 days.
That's right.
And the interest payments on the national
$1 million
debt have
every
now
100
exceeded the
days?
defense budget. It's on the order of $1 trillion,
It's interest.
and it's
Three
and it
trillion
keeps
a
it
year?
keeps
Yeah, I
growing.
rebuilt our military, largely rebuilt our military, did a great job on it, which was so important. We had jets, we had fighters that were, and bombers that were 70 years old. And we did a great job in that.
What
Then
the
by the way,
fuck?
then we gave 85 billion of it back to Afghanistan, if you can believe it. We gave them 85 billion. They're one of the largest sellers
Yeah,
of military equipment in the world. They're selling what we gave them. That was one of the most embarrassing days in the history of our country. But if you think about, let's go back to the economy. We have to bring energy
yeah,
prices down. Energy
Nice.
started it. The price of gasoline. Now your cars don't require too much gasoline, so you have a good, and you do make a great product. I have to say, I have to be honest with you.
thank
That
you.
doesn't mean everybody should have an electric car, but these are minor details. But your product is incredible. But but the
Thank you.
gasoline, Elon, is the cost of energy. Not only gasoline, it's the cost of heating your house and cooling your house. That has
Sure.
to come down. It's gone up 100%, 150, and 200%, and that has to come down. When that comes down, and we're going to
Yeah.
drill, baby, drill. They stopped drilling, and then they went back to drilling because they went back to the Trump policy. But if they won the day after they get into office, this country will go out of business because they're going to go to an energy policy that's not sustainable, wind and different things. You're not going to have anything.
Yeah.
And I know you're a big fan of the AI, and I have to say
Yeah.
that AI, and this is shocking to me, but AI requires twice the energy that the country already produces for everything.
He said, "No way."
So
I said,
you're going to have to
"Way."
build. We're going to have to build a lot of energy if our country will be competitive with
Oh,
China.
that is
because
too
that's our
fucking
primary
good.
competitor for this on the AI. You're
Sure.
going to need a lot of
Well, I mean,
electricity. You're going to need tremendous
Yeah.
electricity, like almost double what we produce now for the whole country, if you can believe it.
That makes sense.
Sure. Well, just going, back to this, like this basic thing, which that people try to make it sound complicated, but it's not.
I've
It's
heard about
inflation
that
supported
like
by government
using
overspending.
AI costs like a lot of
Would
energy.
would
Like
you agree that we need to take a look
the
at
amount
government
of
spending?
I don't know why it would be, but
and
the
have
amount of
perhaps like a government
electricity
efficiency
that it
commission,
uses is
that
nearly double
just tries
than
to make the spending
the
sensible and
output
so
of
the
what we
country lives within
use.
its means, just like a
Nah, I
person
think I
The
read it on
waste is
Twitter somewhere.
incredible, and
There was like an article about
nobody
it.
negotiates prices. You used to have a lot
They
of
said like
people
even like
making
when you just
bets,
like type
and
in
you
random
end up
shit
with
in
two
Chat
companies, and
GPT that
they'll
like
probably try
uses
and
a good
merge
amount
at
of
some point.
electricity.
I mean,
It's
I
interesting
went through it.
because I thought I
Like
was just using like
just
Google, you
a
know.
thing like Air Force One. One of the first documents they asked me to sign, a general walks in, "Sir, would you please sign this document?" And what is it? Air Force One. That's with Boeing, which is basically two planes, two 747s. And the price was
Yeah.
$5.7 billion for two planes. Now they're
Wow.
highly sophisticated.
That's
They're
insane.
even nicer than your plane, okay? But much more sophisticated. They're very, I won't say what's on it, but they got a lot of stuff on it. Anyway, but it's 5.7.
That's a crazy
It's a
number.
crazy number, but I said, I'm not going to pay 5.7. I'm not going to do it. I said, who made the deal? Obama and his people. I said, well, then I know the deal's no good. I'm not going to do it. And over a course of about 4 weeks, by my saying I'm not going to do it, I got the price reduced by $1.6 billion for the exact same plane, other than we had a nicer paint job, if you want to know the truth. But for the exact same plane, I saved one. And I said to Boeing, man, you guys must make a lot of money if you can reduce the price by that. But now what I do hear is that they're going back to the Biden administration and wanting big cost overruns, because they see these dopey suckers in there, and they'll end up getting some of the money back. But I shaved it by $1.6 billion for the exact same plane. And you can now take that and multiply that out times thousands of other
Exactly.
items.
Multiply it by
Yeah,
a
the
zillion,
numbers are
and
astronomical. I agree with you.
Well,
Mm.
I mean, if so, I think it would be great to just have a government efficiency commission that takes a look at these things and just ensures that the taxpayer money, the taxpayers' hard-earned money, is spent in a good way. I'd be happy to help out on such a commission
I'd love
if
it.
it were formed.
Well, you're the greatest cutter. I mean, I look at what you do. You walk in and you just say, "You want to quit?" They go on strike. I won't mention the name of the company, but they go on strike, and you say, "That's okay. You're all gone. You're all gone." So every one of you is gone, and you are the greatest. You would be very good. Oh, you would love
W
it.
Glaze,
But
W
if you look at
Glaze.
Argentina.
Well, I'd be happy
Yeah,
to
by
help
the way,
out.
congratulations.
Yeah.
I just looked at the number of people that are listening to you and I chat. We'll call it a chat. But
Yeah.
congratulations. This is very good. I mean, it's great. And you're an interesting character. The new head of a place called Argentina, and he's a big,
Malay's awesome.
he's great. And
Yeah.
he's a big MAGA fan, that he ran on MAGA. And he took it to an extreme too. He ran on MAGA, and I hear he's doing really a terrific job. It's called Make Argentina Great Again. It worked out perfectly. He came in, he bought a lot of hats, he brought over, but he's doing a big job. He really cut. And I'm hearing
Yeah.
they're starting to do pretty well. Inflation's getting down. They had like
Yes,
2,000%.
exactly.
They had inflation like not normal inflation. They had the real deal. But we're going to
Yeah.
have that
Fuck.
pretty soon. We have, I think we
Yeah.
have the worst inflation we've had in 100 years. They say it's 48
Look at
years.
this.
I don't believe it. I think we have the worst.
AI
They
video.
don't include
This
a lot
woman's
of
not
the
real.
items that should be included.
Yeah.
What?
Well, it's just from
we're
government
cooked.
overspending and not spending taxpayer
Oh,
money.
we're
It's
cooked, bro. I
actually-
feel so bad for like
and having,
celebrities and
just like
and
so
stuff.
many
They're
departments
cooked.
you can't even name them all. And what Millet is doing is, he's cutting government spending. He's simplifying things. He's having putting in regulations that make sense. And I and we're Argentina overnight is experiencing a giant improvement
That's
in
right.
prosperity. But it's also a lesson for the United States, which is that um, Argentina
I wish I
used to
could
be
show
one
what
of
I
the most
just saw.
prosperous countries in the world. Um,
Right.
in the I think in the 30s, 40s, and because of bad government
By the way, if
policy,
you don't know,
it
I'm like,
ruined the
okay, so what I'm
country.
doing is I'm like,
And if you take Venezuela, for example, Venezuela
I'm
should be
going here,
incredibly
and then
prosperous.
I'm just doing
They have
this, and I'm
phenomenal
just doing that. So like I'm listening while I'm
reserves
watching like
of
this. You know what I'm saying?
everything, oil, everything, and it should be prosperous. But if the government's
And
wrong,
like sometimes I'll see
it
things about Trump
impoverishes
and
the
stuff. So
people.
that's why I'm like,
And
I
so
don't know.
I think we should not be complacent in the United States and thinking that and taking our prosperity for granted, because if with bad government policy we can run the country into the ground, and that's just something people should bear in mind. Don't take prosperity for granted.
Well, think of education. So we're ranked at the bottom of every list of the top 40. We're ranked number 40, number 38.
We're ranked
Uh,
40 for intelligence.
Norway, uh,
Honestly, bro,
Switzerland,
I'm not even that
Sweden,
surprised based on the
different
fact that
countries
like
are
during
ranked
this election,
good.
it
Actually,
really shows
China's
you how people
pretty
like
close to the
their
top. They're
IQ
a
and
top
stuff. Like it really
6 or
shows you.
7. But we're ranked at the bottom, almost at the bottom, 38, 39, 40. In other words, horrible. And yet we
In other
spend
words,
more per
horrible.
pupil than any other country in the world. So we spend more. And what I'm going to do, one of the first acts, and this is where I need an Elon Musk, I need somebody that has a lot of strength and courage and smarts. I want to close up Department of Education, move education back to the states, where
Yeah,
where states like Iowa, where states like Idaho, not every state will do great because states that basically aren't doing good now. You look at Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. He he's terrible. He does a terrible job. So he's not going to do great with education. But of the
yeah,
50, I would bet that 35 would do great, and 15
yeah,
of them, or 20 of them will be as good as Norway. Norway is considered great. Uh, you can name them. I mean, they're so good. Some of
yeah.
these countries are so good. But if you go into some of these really well-run states, we have states that don't know what debt is. We have states that have low taxes, no debt, everybody working. They're really well run,
Sure.
and maybe they have certain advantages in terms of
Right.
location, in terms of the land or the sun, the sun and the water and the whole thing. There are a lot of advantages that some people have. But if you moved education back to the 50, you'll have some that won't do well, but they'll actually be forced to do better because it'll be a pretty bad situation. But,
Yeah,
but if you think
well,
about it,
yeah,
you'll have some
yeah,
of
yeah,
these states. I'll bet you'd have 30, 35 states. It'll be much better. And you know what it'll cost?
I
Less
keep
than
getting the
yeah,
half
same tweet with the
what it is
crust.
in Washington. And
yeah.
these people don't care
Well,
about the
yeah,
students in these faraway states, and
well,
it'd be unbelievable.
yeah. I think you're making a good point in that if the states have to if each individual if each state has to compete against other states, then people will
That's
naturally
right.
move to states where it's better.
Well, like
Um,
California, as we said, it's a badly run state. I could go through it. I got so many friends that are in those states, even if they're Democrats. I hate to mention certain states, but Illinois is badly run with Pritzker. He's a real loser. But
yeah,
but some of these places are just badly run. But it's almost going to force them to run better, and they won't do it good initially. But you're not going to do worse than you're doing right now. And I would say that
yeah,
the cost, you would cut your cost by 50 or 60%. And you'd have a little
yeah, yeah,
monitor. You want to make sure they're teaching English as an example. Give us a
yeah.
little English, right?
Sure, yeah.
Right?
No, but I mean, to what? I mean, some of these governors are doing so badly. I mean,
Oh,
they got so
Discord.
many people moving out of their state. They should get U-Haul Salesman of the Year award because they're driving so much U-Haul
It's
sales.
actually
It's just
amazing.
people moving out.
Isn't it amazing to you as a businessman that they can even survive? Like Illinois, so many people are leaving, and you wonder, how do they survive? I mean, how do they survive? Uh, I saw where you left California and you moved to Texas. Texas does a great job. But, I
Yeah,
mean, I just wonder, how do these states survive when big businesses, a big oil company just left California, as you know, and they moved to Texas. how do these big states survive when they lose so many businesses and their taxes are already really high? You know, the taxes are among the highest
Yeah.
taxes. You
What's
almost
wrong with
wonder
my camera, man?
how do they continue on? And in many cases, the governors don't do a good job in their crime-ridden places. You wonder how do they continue to just go on? It's not
Well,
a good
I think there's.
situation.
I mean, I think the only thing that's going to force some of these states to change is if they risk bankruptcy and they're not getting bailed out by the federal
Right,
government.
right. Well,
That's
you're
the
going to
only thing
have
that's going
that.
to get them to change.
You remember the
What the
area in
crust?
California where they had that, where I guess somebody had sticky fingers
What the
and it stole
crust?
a lot of money, and they went into a form of chapter,
What the
and it was
crust?
very nasty
Yeah,
for a period of time. But now it's probably the most popular place in all of California. So you know, at some point, something like that may have to happen. But the problem is, you can't penalize people that loan money to the state when you have incompetent people like a Pritzker. Look, the family didn't want him in the family business, and then he ends up being governor of Illinois. So you know what is he going to be? Is he going to be a great governor? And you know, you have people. I could name every one of them. I got to know every one of
yep.
these, and some are very good, and some are just horrible.
Well, I think that I mean the larger point here, too, you know, as you're saying, like a
Idea.
lot of people are concerned about the economy, a lot of people are concerned about
Yeah, his
inflation,
move.
and inflation is effectively a tax on people that that save money,
Yeah.
and for people that are working day to day, it's just a form of taxation, and if we can solve the government spending problem, we'll solve the inflation problem, which means people will have a better standard of living,
Yeah.
and that's a really big
Well, the
deal.
people that got hurt
Um,
worst are the people that did it the way they were taught to do it all through, you know, their younger life and their young life and their whole life. The people that saved money and then they got no interest on their money and inflation destroyed them. And frankly, they were almost better off if they didn't do anything like that. I mean, those people have been absolutely decimated, and we're going to bring those people back and help those people. We've got to get the prices down. You know, when I look at bacon costing 4 or 5 times more than it did a few years
sure.
ago, when you look at some of the food products in grocery stores, people go, they can't believe it. They used to be able to buy a whole
What
cart,
the
and today,
crust?
you know, a lot of people just don't have the money. They go in and they can't buy anything. They look at
Yeah,
it's
it's
sticker
I
shock.
think
They
it
call it
yeah.
sticker shock, right?
I think
What
it
am I
really
looking
just comes,
at?
like I said, I think it just comes down to really,
What am I
I guess
looking
it's
at?
really two things, which is that if you solve
Brother,
government
what
overspending,
is
you solve
that?
inflation, which improves living
Right.
Why do
standards
I
of
keep getting this
the average
fucking
person,
girl on my
and
timeline,
then
bro? Like,
if you
every time I refresh it, I
deregulate,
get
like
the
have
same
sensible
chick. Like, I don't care,
regulations,
bro.
so because a lot of the regulations are nonsensical and cause the cost to be
Hold up.
extreme for no reason,
Tighten up, bro.
and but unless you've
Tighten
got
up. No. No. I just typed in Elon music. No. It crashed. We crashed.
think radical progress with sensible
Hold on. We're
regulation.
watching Aiden.
Yeah.
And if
Well, Elon,
those two things, yeah, those are the big
yeah,
deals.
we set a record. We did more
Hold on.
deregulation and more restrictions on all of the different businesses than any other.
Where's the audio? The crust? Why do I have no audio?
In the world, and then what happened is COVID came in, and we
Why
had
do I
to
have no
focus
audio
on
on my
that,
tab?
and nobody
I'm listening to like Aiden's, but like I guess you just
remarks
listen
on
to this
military.
while
We knocked out ISIS. We did so many different
I
things.
fix
We
this.
rebuilt, but you know, I never got the credit that we really deserved on what we did with COVID. We never got the credit, but we were. If had that not happened, a gift from China, from Wuhan, came in from Wuhan, the Wuhan labs, and I always said it, and it turned out to be right. But
Yeah,
had that not happened, we were set to start reducing debt. We were going to reduce taxes further. I gave the largest tax cuts, and we were going to reduce taxes still further for middle income people, not only businesses. But we did it for
sure.
businesses because they're the ones that's why we had the great job number.
Why
Really
is it not
start
working, man?
reducing debt And
Elon, you gotta fix
we're
this
sitting
site,
on
bro.
the biggest pile of liquid gold anywhere in the world, bigger than Saudi Arabia, bigger than Russia. And
Just
we were going to drill,
cooked.
and we were going to make so much money. We were going to supply Europe with oil. I had stopped the Russian pipeline, and we were going to
This is
supply them
cooked.
with oil and gas. We were.
Hold on, we're going to XQC.
The COVID came in.
He's
and
gambling.
we really had to divert. Then what happened is when they came in,
Bro,
we
why
kept a
is
lot
this
of
not
businesses
working,
alive.
man?
If I
Like,
didn't do what we did, we would have had a 1929 type depression. But the problem is when Biden came in, he got trillions of dollars and just started spending it stupidly. You didn't need it anymore. We got over that bad period where everybody was dying and feeling, it was just not a good period. Interestingly, during his administration, many
so
more
now I
people
can't even
died
listen. Like,
during his
I'm so done, bro.
administration of COVID than during my administration, and we really got the brunt of it. But people don't realize more people died during his administration than ours. But it diverted us from doing what I wanted to do. But we had the greatest for almost 3 years. We had the great, and you know that probably better than anybody. So many of your friends said to me, the best years we've ever had in business were during the Trump years.
Facts.
And also said that African American, Hispanic American were so incredible. They were having the best Asian American women, men, young people without a diploma, young people that graduated from the best colleges, from MIT, from the Wharton School, from all of the great colleges, Harvard. They were doing better, and people without a diploma were doing better, and everybody was happy. And then COVID came, and we had the problem is they spent trillions and trillions of dollars. They wasted. They shouldn't have taken any money, and we wouldn't be having inflation right now, which is killing our country.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I should probably say something about maybe my views on climate change and oil and gas, because I think it's probably different from what
This is
most
so
people
annoying,
would
man.
assume.
Oh my
'Cause
gosh,
my views
bro.
are
Like,
actually
why
pretty,
is
I
this
think,
not
moderate
working,
in this
man?
regard, which is that I don't think we should vilify the oil and gas industry and the people that have worked very hard in those industries to provide the necessary energy to support the economy. And if we were to stop using oil and
I'm
gas
reloading
right
everything.
now, we would all be starving, and the economy would collapse.
Reloading it all. Autobots roll fucking out, bro. Start listening. Nothing. No audio, nothing. Manage space. Why does it say that Elon's a listener? Like, this is so cooked.
People don't realize this. If you go past 1,000 parts per million of CO2, you start getting headaches and nausea.
No fucking way.
And so we're now in the sort of 400 range. We're adding, I think, about roughly 2 parts per million per year. So I mean, it still gives us. So what it means is like we still have quite a bit of time, but so there's not like we don't need to rush and we don't need to stop farmers from farming or prevent people from having steaks or basic stuff like that. Like you can leave the farmers alone.
I agree. How crazy is that? Where I mean, you have farmers that are not allowed to farm anymore and have to get rid of their cattle, and the whole world is a little crazy. But it's largely taken its lead from us. I just say though, I've heard in terms of the fossil fuel, because even to create your electric car and create the electricity needed for the electric car, fossil fuel is what really creates that at the generating plants. And, so you sort of can't get away from it at this moment. I mean, someday you might be able to. But I do hear we have anywhere from 100 to 500 years left. Much of it hasn't even been found yet.
Yeah.
But there are tremendous, like Anwar. I got Anwar in Alaska approved.
Man, like,
Ronald Reagan couldn't do it. Nobody could do it. Everybody tried. Nobody could do it. I got it approved. The first thing that Biden did was unimprove to get rid of it. He
So
ended it.
annoying, man.
His,
Like every single
his
time, like
secretary went in
there's
and
always
she
some
ended it.
fucking
And
shitty
what a
connection
disgrace.
problems. Like
That's Anwar. That's bigger, or they think it could be
Did he
bigger
say
than
N-word?
Saudi Arabia in Alaska.
the
Could be
crust.
bigger than Saudi Arabia. But
The
they went
crust?
in and they terminated
I'm
it,
kidding.
and I'll get it going very quickly.
Oh, I guess we can sit
not
here
only
in
is
full
it
screen.
big for Alaska, I mean, you talk about economic
Ross here.
development. That for the United States, I mean, that is, they say bigger than Saudi Arabia or the same size, and pure, really good stuff. And, they end it. So I think we have, perhaps hundreds of years left. Nobody really knows. But during that time, something will come around that will be very good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my estimate would be, a little more aggressive than that, but it's not the sort of like we're all going to die in 5 years stuff. That's obviously BS.
Good.
But I mean, my view is like if you just look at sort of the parts per million that increments every year, you get sort of 2 or 3 parts per million every year of CO2. I mean, I think some of that it's problematic if it accelerates if you start going from 2 or 3 to say 5, and then there may be some situations where you get just a step change increase in the CO2, and I think we don't want to get too close to 1,000 ppm because like that's actually makes it uncomfortable to breathe. Like just existing in 1,000 ppm CO2 is uncomfortable. That's like that's considered like an industrial hazard.
Right.
Just so.
No, he's right though. He's right.
That's actually you start getting headaches and stuff. So it's even without global warming, it's not comfortable to live. So you don't want to get too close to that. But I mean, I think we've got. I think we want to just move over and like and if I don't know 50 to 100 years from now
it's carbon.
Yeah, we're I don't know mostly sustainable. I think that'll probably be okay. So it's not like the house is on fire immediately, but I think it is something we need to move towards. And on balance, it's probably better to move there faster than slower.
Kodak, stop being
like
weird,
I said,
dude.
without
Fucking
vilifying the
weirdo.
oil and gas industry, and without causing hardship in the short term, I think this can be done. Without people can still have a stake and they can still drive gasoline cars and it's okay. It's like it's not. I don't think we should vilify people for it, but I think we should just generally lean in the direction of sustainability. And
tight shit.
I actually think solar is going to be a majority of Earth's energy generation in the future, and it's certainly trending that way.
I've never got why we don't use the sun as much as we should be using the sun.
Combine that with batteries, so because obviously the sun doesn't shine at night.
Hold on, bro. The sun is a ginormous fucking reaction fuser. It's so big. It's just it's like emitting like so much energy. Like it's just crazy the fact that we use a lot of things that the sun could easily be powering. The sun be out all day.
I mean, they're cool. In fact, literally, I mean, the sexy joke Model S, Model 3.
I think what you might have to do is have have airplanes with solar panels on them. Like the only time where solar energy isn't efficient is when you the clouds are out and it's raining, you know what I'm saying? But the sun is always out. It's just, the clouds rain. So if you have like all the solar on top of the airplane and now you can build up that energy there and then you can convert it once you land type ordeal. So you always have energy. So there should be like solar plane batteries basically.
Direction. But, I'm sort of waiting for you to come up with solar panels on the roofs of your cars and on the trunks of the cars. And it just seems like something that at some point you will come up with. I'm sure you'll be the first. But it would seem that a solar panel on the roofs, on flat surfaces, on certain surfaces might be good.
Yeah.
At least in certain areas of the country where you have or the world. Where you have the sun,
the
but
temperatures
I would think, and I have no idea because that's not my world, but I would think that this would be something that would be interesting. But the one thing that I don't understand is that people talk about global warming or they talk about climate change, but they never talk about nuclear warming. And to me,
Sure.
that's an immediate problem because you have, as I said, 5 countries. We have major nuclear, and probably some
Surface area
others
is
are
everything,
getting
really.
there, and that's very dangerous. That's where you need a strong American
That's
president
why you have
because
Pangea.
you don't want to have this proliferation. But you have 5 countries and getting more. China is much less than us right now, but they're going to catch us sooner than people think. They're way lower. Russia and us are number one, and I mean, we're sort of tied. And China is far behind, but they're developing at a level that you're not surprised to hear very fast. They'll end up catching up, maybe even
Yeah.
surpassing. But to me, the biggest
Yeah.
problem is not climate change. It's not, and everything's a problem, but it's degrees. To me, the big problem is the nuclear power. The power of nuclear is so great. And when I talk
Yeah.
about
Nuclear power is underrated. It's
I'll
awesome.
prevent World War
Yeah.
III, I will.
Nuclear
But
power
the
is
truth is that
underrated.
you have to, because this is no longer army tanks going back and forth and shooting at each other. This is
Yeah.
a level of destruction and power that nobody's ever seen before.
Yeah, and actually,
No, that
there's
is
the bad side of
true.
nuclear, which is
Bro,
nuclear war, very bad
splitting an
side. But
atom
there's also, I
is
think,
like
nuclear
Kodak, you're weird,
electricity
dude.
you can't
Absolutely.
generation is
even.
underrated.
You're right.
It's crazy.
And
It
it's
gets
actually, people have this
it gets
fear.
insane. And it's not even that. It's like the aftermath. The radiation, magnified radiation from a nuclear explosion is just so prominent. It's like from that particular point, it's like, yeah, that big, that city completely evaporated. But then you got to think about like, the 60 plus years of ultra radiation radiating from this field, mutating things. The environment, plants can't grow, things are just dying. Like, yeah,
Resource,
you
and I
don't
think
want a
it's
nuclear
something that's
World
worth
War III.
reconsidering. But there's so much regulation that people can't get it done. So that
Maybe they'll have
sort
to
of
change the
have
name.
it.
The name is it's a rough name. There are some areas
Yeah, it's a rough
like when
name.
you see what happened in
Good bad
right.
branding. The
We'll have to
branding's rough.
rebrand it. We'll have to give it a good name. We'll name it after you or something.
No,
It has it has a branding problem. When you see what happened,
it does have a branding problem.
when you see what happened in Japan, where they say you won't be able to go on the land for about 3,000 years. Did you ever see that? And in Russia, where they had the problem, where there's a lot of bad things happened, and they have a problem. And they say that in 2,000 years, people will start to occupy the land again. You realize it's pretty bad.
No, that's not true.
But you're right
no,
about it. It's amazing.
It's actually not that bad. So like after Fukushima happened in Japan, like people were asking me in California, are we worried about like a nuclear cloud coming from Japan? I'm like, no, that's crazy. It's not even dangerous in Fukushima. I actually flew there and ate locally grown vegetables on TV to prove it. And I donated a solar water treatment, a solar powered
Is that the
system for a
place
water
with the
treatment plant.
radiation jet?
And
Yeah, but you haven't
because
been
the danger
feeling
is
so
just
well lately, and I'm worried about it.
no, but I mean,
I'm
it's
only
just,
kidding.
it's
I'm
fine,
LOL.
It's like
Laugh out loud.
Hiroshima and Nagasaki were bombed, but now they're like full cities again. So
Right.
it's
Well,
clearly
Facts.
not
Shouts
something
Japan.
that
That's right.
So it's not as scary as people think,
How
basically.
you
But
doing, well, yo, man? I just hit
let's see.
that same
I mean, are there some
50,000
other
in
topics we should touch
Japan.
on? Like lawfare. I think
Well,
we need to be concerned about
what they've done to this country.
obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we just won the big
I mean,
case in Florida. This was a Biden administration did something that's never been done in this country, and that's go after their political opponent, me, with this nonsense and just nonsense. And the big case in Florida we won, but they always pick a judge and a jury, and they use local DAs, they use the local attorney generals, like Fani, Fani, spelled Fani, Fani, and it's all a big hoax, and it's all run from there. Like in Manhattan, the one of the top people from the Justice Department went in, ran Manhattan, ran the state. The Letitia James deal was run by a person from the Department of Justice, Biden. They've never done this before, and they set up a very bad precedent. It's called lawfare, warfare. It's a terrible thing, and never happened in our country. It does happen in banana republics and third world countries, but it's never happened. And the incredible thing is it actually drove my numbers up because people see, fortunately I have a platform like you, or in all fairness, like a conversation like this, where I can talk about it and people understand. I mean, you fight for election integrity and you end up getting indicted because you're fighting for election integrity. And when the day comes that you can't fight for election
No, it was
integrity,
kind of
you don't have
obvious.
a
It was like,
country
bro, we
anymore.
know that y'all
So
did
what
that. We know
happens?
your
What
shit set him
happens
up.
is
Like,
they
come
went
on, all
after their
34 counts.
political opponent, me.
Obviously, that like they so
Now
sus. They so
Biden's
spec. They so
you know,
spec with that shit. Like that shit was
close
so
to
spec.
vegetable stage, in my opinion. Okay, I
How you
looked at
gonna
him today on the beach,
how you gonna
and I
do
said,
all
why
34
would
counts?
anybody allow him? The guy could barely walk. Why would anybody allow him? Does
Yeah.
he have a political advisor that thinks this looks good? You know, he
And they
thinks
do be
this
trying
looks
to
good
frame
because
niggas, bro. They do that
it
to
looks
niggas
so
all the
bad,
time.
and it's
All the
ridiculous.
time.
I mean, and he's been doing
Right,
that
right.
for a long time. You know, he can't lift the chair. The chair weighs about 3 ounces. It's meant for children and old people to lift, and he
Yeah.
can't lift it. The whole thing is
Well,
crazy.
he's clearly. I mean, he's clearly like we just don't have a president right
You
now.
don't
That's
have a
just obviously
president,
the
and
case.
she's going to be worse than him because she is a San Francisco liberal who destroyed San Francisco, and then as Attorney General, she destroyed California.
Facts.
You talk about location, and we're talking about the sun and the water and all. There's nothing better than California. She has destroyed that.
Baby
She
girl,
was the
how you doing?
original
Where you
DA. She was the
been?
original in San Francisco. She was the
She
original
locked
Attorney
up
General of
innocent
California.
black men
What she
for
has
smoking
done
For
with
weed.
no
California
reason. For
is,
no reason. Niggas
well,
was
you
just
know
out
better
here
than I do.
smoking.
You just
Smoking a
left
spliff.
California for a lot of
And
those
boom.
reasons. And what she's done with
I'm
crime,
locked
with
up. They won't let
cashless
me
bail,
out.
where you kill somebody. I mean, we have
On the jail.
states there you kill somebody and they let you out right away. I mean, you don't have to even put up, and then they never find the people unless they kill again, and then they let them out again. Our
Yeah.
country is becoming a very dangerous
It's
place.
not illegal.
And she is a radical left San Francisco liberal, and now she's trying to protect. Now she's looking like she wants to be more Trump than Trump, if that's possible. I don't think it's possible, but she wants to be more Trump than
Well,
Trump.
yeah.
I want a wall.
I think that's
You know, she
yeah.
wants to release all the
Yeah.
prisoners that are in detention, and some of these guys are really bad.
Right.
That just came
Yeah, I
out
just saw
today.
that.
She
Yeah.
doesn't want to build the wall,
Baby
even though the
girl,
walls
how you
work.
doing? Where
Walls
you
and wheels. You know, in your
been?
business, everything you do is obsolete. Almost, well, not the tunnels, but everything is obsolete. Even your rocket ships, they're like a month later, they're obsolete. You find a better way to. The only thing that's
Sweet.
not obsolete is a
Obsolete.
wall and a wheel. And the wall, you know, I built hundreds
Wall
of
and a
miles
wheel.
of wall, and
Is he
that's why
reinventing
we
the
had
wheel?
such good numbers. I was going to add 200
Yeah.
miles. We bought it. We could have flipped it up in 3 weeks, and they sold it for
Tory.
5 cents on the dollar.
Free
That
Tory, free
meant
Tory,
I
free
said,
Tory, free
wow,
Tory, free
that
Tory,
means
free
that they
Tory, free
actually do
Tory,
want
free
to have
Tory, free
open
Tory.
borders. She wants to have open borders, and now she's going like she's tough on
Baby
the
girl,
border.
what you doing? Where
It's
you
such a lie.
Yeah,
been?
this is simply not
Yeah,
true. This is simply
no,
not
and
true.
everybody
Yeah,
knows
it's
it's
simply
not true.
true.
It's a disgrace that she
Yeah.
can say it.
No, I mean, obviously, what's happening sort of overnight is they're rewriting history and making Kamala sound like a moderate when in fact she is far left, like far left.
Worse than Bernie Sanders. She is considered
Yeah.
more liberal by far than Bernie Sanders. She's a radical left lunatic. And if she's going to be our president, very quickly, you're not going to have a country anymore. And she'll go back to all
Yeah.
of the things that she believes
Hell yeah,
in.
Comfy.
She believes in defunding the police. She believes in no
Stupid.
fracking.
We need
Zero.
police. Police
So
save lives.
now all of
Yeah,
a sudden
yeah,
she's
yeah.
saying,
Yeah, you can't
no,
defund the
I will.
police.
I really want to see fracking. If they got in, the day she got in, she'll end fracking. And by the way, if people didn't think that, the lunatics that really believe in that, they won't vote for her. You know, like the Palestinians and Israel. She is so anti-Israel, and she's bad for both. Biden actually did something that was impossible. Both sides hate him. You know, both sides. That was a hard
Yeah.
thing to do. Unification.
Yeah, no. I mean, Netanyahu came to give a talk to a joint Senate and House sitting, and I was there, and Kamala stood him up. You know, what does that say?
I think it's highly
that's,
disrespectful.
Bro,
And
what
I
are they
say, if
saying?
you're a Jewish person or if you believe in Israel, if you're a person that, you know, is a very pro-Israel,
What
if
are
you
they
vote
saying
for
in
her,
chat, bro?
it's worse than Biden. And Biden was bad. But if you vote for her, you ought to have your head examined. And you see tonight, I mean, as we're doing this, I'm seeing reports coming that they expect an attack tonight or tomorrow from hundreds and maybe thousands
Palestine.
of rockets. You know, their Iron Dome, as they call it, as we all call it, but their shield that they built, that can be swamped. We'll use the term.
Let's be real.
Swamped.
W
But
Jews.
they swamp
Stop
it
being weird.
by shooting enough missiles. You know this better than anybody. By shooting enough missiles, they can't defend themselves. You know, they just obliterate the whole place. And that's what some people think they're looking to do. And we have no leadership. There's no respect for the United States of America with these people. And I'm telling you, she'll be worse than him because she's a believer in being radical left, and he wasn't.
Yo, what did I just
Shout out to this
read?
fucking weirdo, bro.
It's important for the public.
Ain't nobody care about that
Nobody
failed
care about the
assassination
failed
attempt.
That's what I'm
Son, I don't
saying.
know how you're American, bro.
You know,
Literally
I
go
see
back to
you,
American,
American,
bro.
but, like,
Fuck.
not a human,
It's
man.
actually bad, Chad. Like, how the fuck? Like, this guy hates
with.
America and lives in
And I
America.
think if you're an independent,
It makes no
It makes no sense. And the fact that he's saying this, like, it's like they get in this mindset of they just need to be against the political person, like in general, and just against them, instead of realizing that this shit is just about a politics and political views, bro. That's still a human being, bro. You should never wish death on anybody.
Into legislation,
like, it's not hard.
Tampons in boys' bathrooms, okay? Now, that's all I have to hear. Tampons in boys' bathrooms. And that means she believes in that too. I mean, she picked this guy because he was the closest to her. A lot of people thought she'd pick sort of the opposite, but she picked an anti-Israel, radical left person. But she is far worse, they say, than Bernie Sanders. If we have her as a president, if we have a Democrat at this moment as the president, I don't think our country can survive.
I think it's a massive. I think we're in massive trouble, frankly, with the Kamala administration, and that's my honest opinion. And I think really it's essential that you win for the good of the country for this election. And I mean I'm just stating my opinion. Now you know you may have seen this, but I got a letter from the EU Commission, like saying, to not have disinformation on during this discussion that we're having, and there's a lot of attempts to do censorship and to force censorship even on Americans from other countries, and what do you think about that?
Well, I know the European Union very well.
See, like this was
They
supposed
take
to be just a
great
conversation,
advantage
but
of
now
the
it feels like an
United States
interview.
in trade, as you know.
Now it feels like we're just like giving
We,
interview like
through a
vibes. You know
different
what I'm saying?
form, NATO, we protect them, and yet if you build a car in the United States, you can't sell it in Europe. You just can't sell it. It's impossible. The same thing with our farmers. Our farmers find it very difficult to do business. You know, we have a deficit with them of $250 billion, which people don't know. It sounds so nice, the European Union, but let me tell you, they're not as tough as China, but they're bad. And I let them know it. And that's probably why they notified you. No, they don't treat our country well. We defend them. You know, with Ukraine, so we're in for 250 billion, and they're in for about 71 billion, and they have the same size. If you add up the European nations that, in terms of an economy, it's about the same size, wouldn't you say, as us? And they're in, and they're in much greater risk. They're right there. We have an ocean separating us from, in this case, the enemy would be Russia. It used to be for the Soviet Union, but let's assume they're close enough. And what happens is they're in for 70-something million. I think even less
Chad,
than that.
do you guys like America? Yes or no?
And we're in for about 250 billion, and it could be a lot higher than that. And I say, why aren't you going to equalize? Why aren't they paying what we're paying? And they're in much more, it's
America's
much more
the greatest
important
country
for them
of all
because
time.
of the
You have
fact that,
absolute
they're
max
right
freedom to do
near there.
whatever you want.
I mean, they're
All
all
these kids
sort
are
of in that
drunk.
Let's make
location.
America
We're
great
not.
again.
But they should, and I did it with NATO. There were only 7 countries that were paid up in NATO out of 28 at the time. And the United States was the United States was subsidizing NATO, tremendously subsidizing NATO. And I said, I went in and I said, you got to pay up. If you don't pay up, we're not going to defend you any longer. I took a lot of heat, but you know what happened? Billions and billions of dollars came flowing in. And
I think a lot of the public isn't aware of the fact
fumbled.
that the United States
Is Trump
pays
eating?
a disproportionate share of the NATO
What's wrong with his
expenses.
voice?
And then we get taken advantage of on trade. So think about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, the point of NATO
Billions,
is defending
billions.
Europe, and it's it's like then okay, well
Let's
why
bring
is the
back
United States paying
slavery.
disproportionately more
Rah.
to defend Europe than Europe? That doesn't make sense. That's unfair, and that is an
Chat, what
appropriate
time is
thing
it for you
to
guys?
address.
Well, you know, when you talk
You know how many
about
people
cost
die
cutting
and
and
truly try
savings
to
and
bring back
everything else,
slavery? Like it wouldn't
I mean,
be so
honestly,
counterproductive.
look, there's nobody that feels worse about the Ukraine situation than I do because I know it
Like
would have
niggas would
never
start
happened.
crashing out
I know
crazy.
Zelensky.
I know
He
there's
was
like
very
a
honorable
modern
to
day
me because
slavery
when
where
they
it's
went
like,
with the Russia
everybody
hoax
has the job. Like
and they
I'm
said
talking
I
about
had a
like
phone call with him, he said it was a
brother,
perfect phone call. It was a great phone
real
call.
deal
He could have
slavery, man. Niggas would
grandstanded and
be out here
said, "Oh,
crashing the
he was
fuck
very
out.
threatening." He said, "No, it was a very nice phone call." I called him up to congratulate him on his win, and you end up getting impeached because these people are
Yeah, yeah.
lunatics. You know, I
I
was
just
talking
rubbed
about
some
the
lotion
difference
on my
from the
feet.
people within and the
I
enemies
have
on the
to
outside.
every day.
In many cases, the people from within are more dangerous for our country than the Russias and the Chinas. If you have a smart president, you're not going to have a problem with them.
Facts.
You're going to do things.
Yeah,
Now they've taken advantage
yeah,
of us
absolutely.
incredibly, but you're going to do things with the right person.
Facts. When they
Trump is
ask
so
if
Yeah,
I
well,
was
smart,
some
man.
way
I
up,
think
say
it's
I
obvious that
max.
you're a believer and an advocate of free speech because during your first term as president, you were attacked relentlessly every day, often very unfairly with with false
I be
attacks,
riding around town with my
and
camp.
you didn't try to
Therapy
shut
to
down the
stamp.
media. You didn't try
Two-time
to
champ.
uh, inhibit their freedom of
Cardiac
speech,
arrest, I feel it
and I
like
think
I'm
that
Kevin
says a
Hart.
lot.
Over
Well, the
working,
good
caught up
thing is
again.
that
Now they wanted me
you
to
and
stop.
I
Shoot my
have,
side the
and
hose.
some
Pull up
people,
number
very
cold.
few,
Killing clock. You ain't
we
never
can get
swole.
the
Whipping
word
up a
out.
bow and not y'all.
Although sometimes it's hard because they don't want to print it, you know, like we're having a great conversation right now. Kamala wouldn't have this conversation. She can't because she's not
No.
smart. You know, she's not a smart person, by the way. She can't have this conversation. And Biden, we don't even have to talk about it. I mean, he couldn't have this conversation. He would have given up on the first
Type
half
shit.
of a question.
Type shit.
He would have walked out. He would have said, "Where am I? Where am I going?" So anyway, but
Bro.
no, he wouldn't have this.
That's true.
Not a lot of people would have this conversation, but you know, we cover a lot of territory. But the beauty is that you know, we can have a conversation, and
Yes, you
I'm
can actually
able
have a
to get it out without because I get treated unfairly
this
by
is
the
a really
press.
big point. You can actually have a conversation with you,
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
and you can't have a conversation with Biden or Kamala. It's like it's not possible.
That's it's
Kamala Harris, if you want to come on my
This is
stream,
like
I
talking
would
to an
proudly
NPC,
interview you.
so it's just impossible.
You got
but
nothing
think
to
of it.
worry about.
We need a man or person
Oh, nah,
who's
nah.
unbelievably sharp in order to
mean,
stop
like,
all
I
the
feel like it
nuclear
would
danger
work,
and all the dangers that I'm talking
but
about. And I got along with all these. You know, I got along with
I
Kim
don't
Jong Un.
know.
We had dinner. We had
I
everything.
don't
And
know.
he really liked
said
me,
we're
and I got
good.
along with him
Fuck
really
no.
well. By the way, he's the absolute boss over there. You know, a lot of people said, "Oh, do you think he really?"
That's for
Let me
sure.
tell you,
We
I
good.
saw things that you don't want to know about. He is the boss. But we had a good
W. Kim
relationship,
Jong Un.
and
Okay.
he doesn't like Biden. He considers him a stupid man.
Hey, Chef.
He's a stupid man. Well, at least he speaks
This
his
is a
mind.
vanilla strawberry.
But you know, in this country, you're not sort of allowed to say it. But I guess you
Oh
are.
my
You should be allowed to say it
Yeah.
if it's true. But we need
Should be, but
really, we need
you suffer a
smart
penalty
people,
by
and we need people
do
that
this?
have
expressing your political opinion a
an
lot.
ability to lead.
Blue
And he
sponsors, all
doesn't have
types of
that
crazy
ability.
shit.
Can you imagine? Now you know Chairman
Thank you,
Xi
bro.
very well. Can you
You know,
imagine her and
I
him
don't really get
negotiating?
that. Hold on. I don't really get that.
No.
If we're in America, right, and like, nigga, this is the American people. How can you like people like certain people won't fuck with you, or like certain people will like you lose sponsors or something if you voice your political views and whatnot, and it's like that doesn't even make no sense because like, bro, this is the America, my nigga. This is the not only is it just freedom of speech, but then it's also just like, I mean, nigga, this is one of the most prevalent conversations. You decide you're basically forcing people to pick a particular side. So how you gonna make people feel wrong for picking a side when they were coerced into picking a side?
The future is going to
Chat,
be better
open
than
your
the
mouth.
past.
Say
And that America's going to do things that are greater than we've done in the past. Reach
Right.
new heights that make you proud to be an American and excited about the future.
They want the American
you know, I think
dream
there's-
back. You know, they want the American dream back. More important than anything else. It's like you don't have that today because the people they've been just sucked. They see incompetent people running our. You know, the Biden thing is very interesting. People just found him to be incompetent, and when I debated him, I was like, "Is this for real?" It was.
Yeah, it was just absurd. But you know, I think there are like some grand projects that we could do. I mean, I think like we could
Yo,
build a
Ryan
base on the
Garcia, this
moon. We
yay.
could send American astronauts to Mars. We
Right.
could build high-speed
Yep.
connections that are more advanced than anything else in the world between our cities, so people have fast transport. Um, it's possible to solve traffic with tunnels.
That's right.
We've already made great progress in Vegas doing that, and and just do things that are exciting and inspiring and make the future feel like it's better than the past.
Well, I saw what you
Like,
did in Vegas, and I'll tell you, it was amazing. I got to see. I took a big glimpse at it, and it's incredible. It's incredible, and you could do that all over.
Facts.
You could do that all over. It's deep.
Yeah,
You don't even
it's
need much structure.
Chat, we're calling
assuming you're
Jake
in
right
the
after
right
this
area.
ends,
no,
by the way,
it's
okay?
straightforward.
It's amazing.
W's in
So
chat.
and like I think we could do some things that like China's got incredible high-speed rail between its cities, but I think it's actually possible with tunnels if with deregulation, with an ability to actually where it's like legal to actually do the tunnels. Then you could have high-speed tunnels that are actually better than anything else in the world for high-speed transport between cities, and that would be something that Americans can say, "Wow, okay, we've got something that's cooler than anyone else in the
Yeah.
world." That's the kind of thing that makes you proud to be an
And
American.
much safer than surface trains, where there is a danger there. With crazy people. It's much safer, much better. And it's sad because I've seen some of the greatest trains. I find it fascinating, and I've seen the systems and how they work, and the bullet trains they call them, I guess, and they go unbelievably fast, unbelievably comfortable, with no problems. And we don't have anything like that in this country, not even close.
Nothing about China in them.
And
Like
it
they're so
doesn't make
technologically
sense that we
advanced because
don't.
all the people there are
Doesn't
so
make
fucking
sense.
Yeah,
smart.
and I think also like there's, I'm kind of hopping on the excess regulation, but I think something that that I think people can generally understand is that what happens with laws and regulations is that there's more and more of them every year, and unless there's a process to clean them up, eventually everything becomes
You're right.
illegal, and that actually it slows down the development of new technologies. I mean, if you take the sort of like I think there's room for some reform at the FDA for
Yeah.
improving the speed with which we approve drugs that could help save lives and improve people's
Yeah.
lives.
W spaghetti, W
And,
spaghetti.
I
uh,
worked very hard on that. We got that down
Yeah.
to
Wait, is
to
this
the lowest
real?
number ever. And we
Bro.
got therapeutics approved in the FDA that people can't even believe the speed. But I took them on. I don't think they like me too much, but I got things approved in the FDA at numbers that they wouldn't
Bro,
believe.
it means
And,
when you know those like
it's a
quotes,
very
those like NBA
bureaucratic
image
group.
quotes.
Actually, it's
If a
a
bomb
fine
goes off,
group
I'm
of people in
gone.
many cases. I got to know a lot of them, but I was pushing
Is
them
this
really hard
real?
for Regeneron, for so
There's
many
no way that's
different
real.
things that were really pretty amazing. But the FDA takes too long. It's 12 years to get a product approved. I got it down to 4, and I
Yeah.
got some things done very quickly. But it's really something that is going to have to be worked on because it takes too long. Just takes too long.
Yeah, it just takes too long, and it's you end up in the same with the approval, but it's just
What the fuck?
it takes years instead of something that I think could potentially take
Yeah.
months, and that improves people's lives. I
Yeah.
think I just wanted to hop on this point that like there has to be an active process for reducing rules and regulations, because otherwise they just keep building up every year, and
Yep.
you get like hardening of the arteries, and eventually everything's illegal or takes forever, and then we just we just ossify
Procrastinate.
as a society. We just
How much time is this nigga
we
spending
can't
on
make any progress, and it's a really big
Well,
deal.
Elon, just
So-
getting back to the FDA for 1 second, I got something done called Right to Try. This is where you can go in and, if you're terminally ill, you can use a space age
There's no way this is
medicine
real.
or whatever
This
it
is
may be.
fake.
We have the best doctors, the best labs in the world. We really do.
There's no
And-
way that's
But
real.
people would go to
This has gotta
other
be
countries
real.
because you couldn't use
Yeah.
this
I'm
the
fake.
product, even if they thought it worked, because
Yeah,
it's
zero.
going through the FDA. I got it
Yeah.
approved
Yeah.
where you can,
Yeah.
you basically, look, nobody wanted, the doctors didn't want it because of the liability.
I'm
The
gonna get 'em on
country didn't
stream,
want
I
it,
don't
our
care.
country, because they didn't want to get sued.
I'm
These are
texting you
people
right now.
terminally ill. The insurance companies didn't want it, and the pharmaceutical companies, nobody wanted it. I got everybody into a room, and we came up with an agreement that you won't get sued. And also, they didn't want it on their record. If somebody's terminally ill and
Oh,
they
he
die
DM'd me.
after
What the
taking a
fuck?
drug, they didn't want that on their record. So we set a separate list. If somebody was, so it wouldn't count as a negative.
Yeah.
Okay, and as you know, we got it
Yeah.
done. We have saved right to try. They've been trying to get this done for 58
Yeah.
years, and it sounds simple, but it wasn't because of, I mean,
Mark
the
Cuban.
insurance companies, nobody wanted it, but we got it done.
Sure.
Somebody signs, you sign a
Is Elon Musk saying
document that you're
climate
not going
change
to sue
is
the
not a
insurance
hoax?
companies, the country.
Smart
You're not
man.
going to sue anybody. And we got it done, and we're saving tens of thousands of
Well, I
lives.
mean,
Right to try.
If you don't
Hopefully,
think
you never need
climate
it.
change
But
isn't a
if you
hoax,
do,
I mean, it takes
you don't have to travel
simple-
to Asia. People,
Right.
if they had
so,
money,
like,
they go
I
to
thought
Asia,
we
they
were
go to
dealing
Europe.
with peanut brain people. Okay, you have the with an atmosphere, right? Atmosphere traps gas. So that's why we can see. That's why the sky's blue. Look at why the sky's blue. Radiation of the light will reflect off water, and so, brother, I mean, if you, for example, if you put a bubble on a surface, you stick a straw in it, and you put smoke in the straw, the whole thing will fill up with smoke. I mean, it's that simple.
Generally
You
speaking,
don't
would
even have
work.
to,
It's
like-
pretty crazy.
Absolutely.
You're right.
So
And
I mean,
I,
if there's
I think
factories
so
pushing
long as
out
people
tons
are
of fucking
properly informed
smoke,
of the pros and cons, and
Yes,
like these
I
are
do
the risks,
understand what
these
you're
are
saying,
these
too.
it's
are
all
the risks,
artificial
and like
stuff.
you
It's
make
not
your own
like the-
decision.
I understand everything.
the
that
earth
makes
itself is
sense.
putting that
Well, I
out.
think just,
So-
in sort of
Then
closing up,
obviously it'll
and
build
by the
up.
way, I'm looking at the numbers. You got a lot of people
And if you
listening.
build up a bunch of
I hope you
expanding
don't get
gas,
nervous because you got
so
a lot of
the
people
heat,
listening to you right now.
goes
Like
up, and the
60
earth will
million
feel
or
hotter.
something.
Maybe that's why the
What is
sun is
that
so
number?
hot now.
What the
Crazy.
fuck?
It's amazing how you can see that right away. How many? What is the number? Wow.
What?
What is it?
Well,
Wow.
I think in
Wow,
terms of people
that's a
that,
big.
that
That's bigger than you said. You said 25, and you're much more than double that number, 25 million. I think you're going to be 60 or 70, and I guess over a period of time. Hey, I congratulate you. Do I get paid for this or not?
well, I think actually in terms of the number of people that will hear this conversation over the next few days to
Right.
weeks,
More than
it's
your
gonna be
stream. Like,
hundreds.
Okay. Hassan. Elon is currently defending oil gas. He's 3 Trump lines away from. So we know that you have a electrical car, you need lithium batteries, and so you have to have a lithium farm, and so you have to cut down a bunch of trees, and you have a bunch of deforestation, and that's why everyone can't have a gas car or a electric car because it's bad for the environment. It's deforestation basically. Less oxygen, you can't breathe. So yeah. Hello? I be riding around town with my camp.
Streets in New
Therapy
York.
to stamp.
And I
What?
said,
Champ.
well, what happened to the people that sold them? Oh, nothing. They got away. Like, and they just know
They
that-
always get
dude,
away.
New York City now is like
and
Gotham
they don't
City.
and they don't
Like,
even
that's
bother reporting
crazy.
it because there's not. They know that they're not going to. People are not going to get prosecuted. They just let violent criminals out in New York.
The
with-
only
with
one that
zero
gets
bail.
prosecuted is Donald Trump. They don't get. They prosecute Trump.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, literally.
It's just obviously messed up.
Oh, it's terrible.
If violent criminals are being getting off scot free, and meanwhile the New York spending massive resources prosecuting you, and it's like what's this and I think the
So
the
horny.
sort of
Holy fuck,
sensible
fuck something.
public looks at this and says, what the heck's going on here? This is obviously abuse of the legal system. The legal system is supposed to be protecting the public from violent criminals, and it should be obviously allowing the public to make their own decision about who should be president, as opposed to some legal case.
Once they start this precedent, because this can go on with the next one. I mean, this is a very bad precedent what they're doing in terms of going after their political opponent, and that's all it is. It's going after their political opponent, and then you get a judge who's a strong Democrat, and I'm being nice when I say that. In many cases, crooked as hell. But you get a judge, and you go into an area where a Republican gets 3 or 4% of the vote, and you have a jury pool with
or boy,
people
grabbing
that
him.
hate Republicans or hate. It could
Sure.
also be the other way, though,
Of course.
because it could start the other way in areas where they hate
Exactly.
Democrats. And you get into a
Yep.
Pandora's box. It's a very dangerous thing for this country, and a very dangerous thing even for the state. New York City is
Yep,
losing. New York
absolutely.
City and state lose a lot of business over what they did to me, because these people say we don't want that to happen to us. That's no justice
I'm
system.
not. Don't
You
use
have an
that K word
unfair
for me, bro.
system
Yes.
of justice.
I'm a nice Jewish
and
boy.
it's costing New York State a tremendous amount of money. People are leaving and companies are leaving, and they won't come back. So, all of that stuff is important. But the economy now is the big thing, and we can turn that economy up so fast, and people are going to be back again. We're going to get rid of
Yeah, I think
inflation.
there's a lot of opportunity.
Right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So
And I just
I,
want
thi-
to
I
I want to
think
congratulate you. You've done an amazing job. You have definitely got a fertile mind. We can talk. You and I can talk about rockets.
well, see, it's kind of you to say. Thank you.
Tunnels. We can talk about tunnels
Fertile
and
mind. Is he
rockets
trying to
and
impregnate his brain here?
electric cars. So many things. And now you're into the AI, and that's going to be another beauty, I'll say. So
Yeah.
Good
it's
man.
an amazing thing you've done, Elon. It's an amazing thing, and I
Well,
congratulate you.
Aw.
I mean, thank you. And well, I mean, I just say here, here's to an exciting, inspiring future that people can look forward
Aw.
to and be optimistic and excited about what happens next.
Bro,
And
I
that's
can't show what I
the
just
kind of
watched,
future
but
that I
holy
think
fuck, that is
you will bring as
gross.
president, and that's why.
It's a girl with shit
Well,
on her
I
chest.
appreciate that. That endorsement meant a lot to me. Not all
W.
endorsements mean that much, to be honest. Your endorsement meant a lot. And, we have a phrase, make America great again. It's pretty simple, but it really
Fight.
says that we want to make America great again. And we can do it. We can do it now. But if we were going to suffer another 4 years like we've suffered for the last 4 years, I'm not sure the country can ever come back. That's how bad it is. It's so bad. We have to do a lot
I
of
think
things.
that's a
Trump should
very
make
real
its
risk.
own
It's a big risk.
It's a very
podcast.
real risk.
Yep.
And it's I'd just like to note to
Who
people
would
listening,
the guest
I've
be?
not been
It'd be like Kim
very
Jong
political
Un. It'd
before,
be like Putin
and
podcast.
if you look at my record, I've actually been. I'm not like sometimes they try to paint me as like a far right guy, which is absurd because I'm like making electric vehicles and solar and batteries helping with the environment, and
He's more of an
and I actually
environmentalist. So what he's saying, he's more in the Green Party.
I supported Obama. I stood in line for 6 hours to shake Obama's hand when he was running for president, and so it's not like I'm like some sort of
Damn, is that not
dyed-in-the-wool
Max
long-term
Glaze?
Republican.
Max
I'm actually, I'd
Glaze.
call myself,
Max Glaze.
historically a moderate Democrat, but now I feel like we're really at a critical juncture for the country, and
Max Glaze.
I think a lot of people thought the Biden administration would be a moderate administration, but it's not, and obviously we're just going to see an even further left
Elon still calls him
administration
tweets.
with Kamala. That's my honest opinion. I mean, her dad is literally. I mean, she was brought up as an actual. Her dad is a Marxist economist. You can Google it. I mean, it's not a.
That's
I'm
crazy.
not making this up.
Her dad's a
that's how she was
communist.
brought up. So.
Oh, nice.
And
Let's have a communist run the
We want
country.
to have a future that is prosperous, and
No wonder why
I think
Hassan
we're just
likes
at this
her.
critical juncture, and I think this is a case of
Kamala's a communist.
America is going to at a fork in the road, and
Barack loves showing that mid-ass
I think it
playlist
will
every
take
year.
it will take the path like you are the path to prosperity, and I think Kamala is the opposite. Then that's my honest opinion. I'm gonna get attacked like crazy, and I've also experienced quite a bit of lawfare myself, but I'm just
Yeah,
trying
no,
to tell
whiskey
people my honest
in there. I think
opinion,
whiskey
and,
with you was a good
I
track.
haven't been really active in politics before. And I'm just trying to point out that my track record historically has been moderate, if not moderate, slightly left. And so this is to people out there who are in the moderate camp to say, I think you should support Donald Trump for president.
I'm gonna got the same
And
invite
I
to talk
think
to
it's
Elon
actually
with
a very
you. Says
important
a
junction
lot.
in the road, and we're in
There's
deep
the
trouble
Hodge
if
twins.
it goes the other way.
Well, I want to thank you. And, I actually always did think of you as somewhat left. I must say that. So it's
Yeah.
even more of an
Well,
honor to have your endorsement. I know how strong you feel about it. But, when you think of her, San Francisco 15 years ago, I had a great friend, Bob Tish. He said it's the greatest city in America. And now it's almost not livable there. And California likewise. And she was involved in the destruction of San Francisco and the destruction of California. And she will be involved in the destruction of our country if people are so unwise as to elect her. And I hope that doesn't happen. And I hope the elections are going to be run honestly. And We're going to turn this country around. We're going to do things that, and we can do it fairly quickly. And we have to get rid of the criminals that have been, given to us by other countries as they laugh. They laugh at us. They think we're stupid to accept these people. These are
what's the best country in the world right now?
Stone cold killers in many cases.
Best country
and terrorists. And they're in our country by the hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
And we have to take them out.
Yeah, I mean, if I could summarize it, perhaps, I think these are issues that I think most people in America would agree with, which is that we want safe and clean cities, we want secure borders, we want sensible government spending, we want to restore both the perception and reality of respect in the judicial system, stop the lawfare, and I think that's like, and how are those even right-wing positions?
Should I move to Switzerland if Camellia wins?
There's only one man that I would ever even think about liking more than that, and that's Flight Reacts. Flight. Hit me up.
Have come into our country and they're just getting acclimated. And they don't know about being politically correct law enforcement or lack of law enforcement. And our police, I have to just end with this.
What did you do, bro?
Great
police. We have
police.
great
What
law
did you do,
enforcement,
Aiden?
but they're not allowed to do their job. They have to be able to do their job without being destroyed.
Poisoned our timelines.
Absolutely, and it's obviously demoralizing if you're a police officer risking your life to arrest violent criminals who could kill you and do kill you sometimes, and then you arrest a violent criminal, and then the DA,
should I stay there, chat, and trust
doesn't
them?
prosecute and they just let the guy out.
Right.
Well, then, like, why should a police officer risk their life to arrest a violent felon?
Well, even worse, Elon,
nothing's going to happen.
even worse, they prosecute the
You could've
police
made a really
officer.
funny joke.
They go after it and they prosecute the police officer and they take away his pension, they take away his job, he loses his family, he loses his house.
Well, I thought it was very telling, like incredibly telling, that.
The problem with Fetterman is that it has good faith, right? Fetterman has good faith. It definitely can be a good thing. The problem is, though, it can definitely be exploited in the judicial system, and it can be done in bad faith. Over a long period of time, it could be like certain cases do get done like, okay, this is good. Fetterman is serving the purpose that it was supposed to, but it can definitely be taken advantage of or looked over and like not really. It's like over a long period of time, it can definitely be a bad thing if it's exploited and people find like loopholes in the judicial system to make it so things can not go the way that they should go. I think that it's good faith. I feel like it could just get taken advantage. Also, I feel like it would create a lot of jobs because it would be like people wanting to be like, oh, I get federal immunity as a police officer. That could entice people to want to work as a police officer. So I don't think it's not a terrible idea, but it's also, it can definitely get taken advantage of and exploited.
And had a fight with a police officer, they would be shot. There's no political correctness. And it's such a sad, it's such a sad thing to see. And that's the reason you have crime, by the way, because we don't do anything about it.
Dude.
Yeah, we just cannot have a situation where our police officers are beaten up on camera by a gang of illegal immigrants, and then nothing happens to the guys that beat up the cops. I mean, and they're let out. This is unacceptable.
Well, we're going to change it, and we're going to get them out of the country. You know, when I first got involved, they said you couldn't get them back to these countries. You couldn't take them back. In the case of Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador,
Kodak.
some others, you couldn't get them back. And I said, really? Oh, you can't get them back? Because under Obama, he couldn't get them back. They'd put up They'd fly them in, and they'd put planes on the runways.
Why
in
don't
these
we just
countries
make our
so you
own
couldn't land
island?
the plane, they'd bring them back.
Our own country.
And the generals told me, sir, we can't bring them back. The countries won't accept MS-13 gang members. They won't accept them. And I said, really, how much do we pay these various countries in terms of economic aid, which is also somewhat ridiculous? And the answer was $750 million. I said, good. Tell them they're in default. They're delinquent. We're not paying them anymore because they won't accept it. And you know what happened? They all
like
called
this
me.
shit is
They
cringe,
wanted
bro.
to-
Stop sending me
We
this
would
shit,
be
bro.
honored to
I'll smack
take
the
them
fuck
back,
out of
sir.
you.
We would be honored.
Cringe.
It was so easy, but it's one of those things. And we got
Cool,
it back.
spit
We
on that
took in
thing.
so many. You know, the MS-13 is probably
Yeah.
the worst gangs in the world. They're the
I gotta
most
pee again, bro.
violent.
Holy shit.
We took them out of here by the
Fuck.
thousands and got them out of here, and their countries took them back. And because I said you're not getting any more economic aid, and once I said that, they were nice. They wouldn't take them back for Obama.
yeah.
They wouldn't take them back for anybody. And now we have a problem because we have this guy, and they
Yo, he should
again
ask him about
they
Hot
don't
Tool
take
Girl.
him back anymore with Biden because they don't respect him.
Yeah. It's just gotta be done. We just can't have whether they're citizens or not citizens. We can't have because they won't prosecute citizens either. Not just illegals. So that if it's you can't have violent repeat violent offenders that are not that don't
Not
get
getting punished.
incarcerated.
That's right.
Why does he keep
Because
stuttering, bro?
they will
He keeps
obviously
stuttering.
by definition
Isn't he a professional
continue
speaker?
to
W Trump 2024, let's go.
and I think where part of this comes from is that there's and I do sort of consider myself liberal in some ways. I mean, it's just that you want to have empathy for
Right.
people. Obviously, you want to have empathy for people. I totally agree with that. You want to have empathy, but you also have to have empathy for the victims of the criminals. And if you just have empathy for the criminals, it's actually shallow empathy. It's not real. You're not thinking. You're one layer deep empathy. You got to say like, what if you don't incarcerate this person? Who are they going to hurt? Well,
Is this
they might
nigga
kill
okay?
someone. They might rape someone. If you don't incarcerate them, you have to have empathy
Put them in
for
jail.
the victims. And there's a lack of empathy for the victims of the criminals, and too much empathy for the criminals. It doesn't make sense. That's why you want to have
Yeah.
deep empathy for society as a whole, not shallow empathy for criminals.
And we have to give our police officers the dignity and the respect
They
that
deserve.
they deserve.
Yes,
and we
President.
have to let them do their job. They can do a great job, but
But
we
they can
have to
also
let
take
them do their
advantage.
job.
That's
And if
the
we don't
problem,
do that,
is that
we're,
you can
you
get
know,
taken
it's gonna
advantage
all,
of. It can be
it's gonna all
exploited.
disappear. There's never been a society
I don't
like
know if they're
this
taking
where
that into account,
you're
but
allowed to do anything you want and nothing happens. And
you
I'm
can
talking
break
about
federal
violent
immunity,
crime.
but
And it's going to get more
it
violent
just
because
depends on
these
the
are
case.
really,
But
really
it's
violent
very
people.
like
And we're going to get them out of our country, and we're going to get
you
them
can
back to
exploit
where,
it
because they were
easily.
sent here by the presidents and by the various people that run those countries. And I know every one of those guys. And they're smart people, and they're streetwise people. And they really think that the USA
Let's
is
put
stupid.
Cheezer in
They
jail.
think we're run by stupid people, and they happen to be right. But when I was there, we had no problem. We got them out. We took out thousands of MS-13 gang members. We brought them back. And now, again, it's the same old story. We don't do it. And they actually gave them a big increase in aid. They raised it up to billions of dollars, and they get nothing for it. So, you know, I hope everybody's going to vote for Trump, and we're going to get this country.
Yes, sir.
straight.
Yeah.
And I didn't
Fight.
need this. I'm like you. I didn't need this. I had a very nice life. I didn't need to go through
Yeah.
court systems and go through all the other stuff and run at the
Sure.
same time. I have to run. I have to go through fake
Why is he
trials
talking to
with,
Elon longer than he talked
in
to you?
some cases,
It's not
corrupt
true.
judges,
Same
totally
amount of
corrupt
time.
judges.
Probably Al's a bit longer.
I didn't need it. I had a nice life. I have great locations. I have beautiful oceans that I have places. But I felt it was important. And if I had to do it over again, you probably think I'm crazy for doing it, actually. But if I had to do it over again, I would have done it over again, because this is so much more important than me or my life. We're going to save this country. This country is going down. And these people are bad people
Bro,
that we're
bro,
running
stop,
against,
bro.
and they're liars.
Shit's cringe.
They make
The Hitler shit's
statements.
cringe, bro.
They do things that are
Chat,
so
facts or
bad.
cap? Hitler
They-
jokes fell
They
off.
say
Facts.
they're going to
They
make a
fell off.
strong
Nobody
border.
likes them anymore.
They say they've been great on the border, and they've been the worst in history. They say they're
Yeah,
going to stop
it's horrible.
crime.
Like, the
And
facts speak for themselves.
it's
The
so
facts
incredible.
speak for themselves. Like
Y'all
it's
rude
got
as
to the
fuck,
point
bro.
where people just don't even
Cringe.
bother reporting.
That is true. They lie a lot, and it makes me mad because they will sit there and like lie straight to your face, and then like I don't know. I guess they expect you to believe it or something. But like, yeah, it's definitely a problem. They will literally sit there and lie. It's like, bro, I just saw you lie. This is factually not true, and you just lied straight to my face. It should be making me mad. I'm not gonna lie, because I'm not like
have a prosperous future, and then we want to have some exciting, sort of
they make it
moonshot
sound like you're a
projects
dumbass,
that,
bro.
that people can get fired up about. And
Like, I can look,
Bro,
you know,
that's,
chat,
that's the
why
piece
are
I'm
you
looking
guys
for.
sending
And
me this shit, bro?
I'm pro
I've seen that
environment,
guy.
but
It's
I'm not
unfortunate.
against.
You're basically
I'm
saying
not
like
I don't think we should vilify the oil and gas
really
industry
sad,
because
honestly.
they wouldn't want to
they're keeping
live if they
civilization
looked like
going
that,
right now.
which
And
I
but I do think we
wouldn't do
want to
that
move,
just because like you can still experience
a
the
reasonable
friction,
speed towards
that we live in.
a sustainable energy economy. Those are
But
my values, and I think
you know,
you
I
know,
thank God every day
and
that
so I mean that's
blessed to not
why
to
I'm
experience
You
something
know,
like
you're
this.
literally a
supporting you
fat
for
fucking
president.
Mexican who's
Well, I
just
appreciate it.
fucking
We're going to
a
make,
catfish.
we're going to give incentive to companies to come into our country, not to leave our country. We're going to be giving tremendous incentives. We want companies to build
guess
here,
yours,
not
Eno.
to build in other locations. And we want to create jobs. And again, it's about the American dream. You don't hear about the American dream anymore, Elon. You don't hear. You're the American dream in the
Facts.
truest sense. But you don't hear about the American
facts.
dream anymore. And you're going to hear about it.
Morning and
People,
going to-
they
you know,
need
going
that
to a job-
incentive to go out and
Yeah.
do it. And they're going to love their lives. I mean, they're going to look forward to getting up in the morning and going to a job that they love, not
Do you
a job
guys
that they
are
can't
happy in the
stand,
morning to
or
go to
not
work, chat? Yes or no?
any job at all, where they have no money, where they literally have no money, and then they end up with violence and lots of other problems. No, we're going to do some great things. And I learned a lot in the first. We had a great economy and all of that. We rebuilt the military. We did so much, but I also learned the best people. I learned the good people, the smart people, the dumb people, the people that can do things. The people, you learn. When I first came in, I tell people I was in Washington, D.C. only 17 times, according to the fake news media. I was in 17 times. I never stayed over. And you don't know people. You rely on other people to give you names, and then you realize the people you relied on weren't so good. Now, we had great people, but we also had some where I wouldn't have, used them had I known. Now I know everybody.
Right, Mr.
And I
President.
think we're going to we're going to really turn things around fast. We have no choice, otherwise we're not going to have a country. And I really
Stop
appreciate this. Has
sucking your
been
shit,
to me, it's
freaky
been
ass
a lot of
nigga.
fun being with you. You're an amazing guy. You've done
He
an
said the same thing
incredible
for
job
me.
and a great inspiration to people.
Chat, he said the same thing to me.
Great inspiration, and I hope you keep going and just continue to do well. And we're going to have a big election coming up, and I think November 5th will be the most important day in the history of our country. I think that election will be the most important election, and I think it'll end up being maybe the most important day in the history of our country, because
Why do you guys laugh at
if
that?
we don't win, I
True.
just feel so sorry for everybody.
No, I think we're at a
Mention
full door
crypto!
of destiny of civilization, and I think we need to take the right path, and I think you're the right path. So I think that's what it comes down to.
Thank you very much, Elon. It's a great honor, and we'll do it again sometime.
Shout out to
And,
Aiden Ross.
It's been really fun, and I hope you got a lot of viewers. I hear you got a lot.
He said the same thing
I
to
hope
me.
you got a I know you got a lot of them. So
Chad, he said
I
the same
appreciate
shit
it.
to
I'll
me.
see you soon.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Elon. Thank you very much. Bye.
Elon, hold on. I'm gonna request Elon.
He's gonna request.
Hello? Great.
Cause we came out to play and I'm tired of it. Brother's not accepting, brother. GG. She's gonna create a space and try to get Elon in. Alright, let's see.
Where's the little microphone shit?
Cause a memory came out to play and I'm tired of it. Tired of it. Why is everybody's birthday in October? Like all of a sudden, I just see like a bunch of people like is born in October. Like Aiden's born on October 11th.
I literally just started.
Bro, me and Ivanka Trump have the same birthday, bro.
You guys
Is
see
that
it or
not
not?
crazy? Me and Ivanka Trump have the same birthday, and Kamala Harris, her birthday is 10 days before ours. So hers is October 20th. Hers is October 20th, and me and Ivanka Trump's is October 30th. I find that pretty cool, you know? That's a neat fact. More in common than I did not previously know.
So fucking much, dude. Like, oh yeah.
Oh,
Fucking
this guy?
hate this joke.
This guy
How do I
panders
credit
so
space?
hard. He panders so hard. Max Pander.
How?
Pandora's box, if you will. Call that nigga Pandora's box. He's creating a space.
X Aiden, X Elon space now.
Oh, I'm getting DDoS. Like, is he
God, I
real?
don't even care. Oh my god.
Oh my god. Alright, I'm joining it. Like, and he knows he's not. The thing is, he's so weird. He knows he's not even doing it, but like, he's still gonna do it anyways. Like, unless they do just randomly join.
Yo. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Fuck. The chat, man. Fuck. Who's up in the chat, man? So check this out, bro. We got Trump and Elon in here.
Where they at?
Yo, they're about to join right now. I just got off the phone with them both. I'm just waiting on them to join up. There says there's 4,000 people, but how do I see who's in here? Oh, all right. Let's see who's requesting.
All right, I'm requesting.
Is Elon in here?
I requested.
He hasn't joined yet. Hold on, guys. Let me invite him as a speaker. He'll join up. Don't worry.
Like, why is he lying, bro?
All right. Send an invite real quick. Yeah, so if you guys are just tuning in, they're about to join up in any second now. Just give it a few minutes. So I hope everyone's having a fantastic day.
Why is he lying?
And stuff.
Why is he lying?
Seriously, you know, great. How do I see who's in here?
Yeah, why can't you see
How
who's
do I
in
see
here?
who's in here?
Only top 1K can be shown. There might be people listening anonymously.
Let's see. Fuck.
It's just watching
What are
from
you
here.
guys up to? Just make sure you guys share the space to your families because Elon and Trump are about to join. Make sure you guys share the space to your families because Elon and Trump are about to join. Space. Share this to your grandma, your grandpa, your uncle, your aunt, your, you know what I'm saying? Share it to everyone because he's about to join any second. The quicker you guys share it, the more likely he's to join quicker. All right. Guys, 1 second. I'm about to call him right now. Hold on.
Cause I never came out to play and I'm tired of it.
Hey.
What's up?
What's up, man?
Are you excited for the for Elon and Trump to join? What's up?
Yeah,
What's
I want to ask Trump why I got denied and shit. You know what I'm saying? Why I didn't get to come to the stream, you know?
It's because you have an ongoing case.
Hey, what are you saying? No, I don't.
You literally do.
No, I don't.
So what have you been doing today? Playing Madden?
Yep. I was playing.
Wait, what the fuck?
Madden sucks, bro. I don't care.
It does?
Yep.
Hold on. Baddies, this kind of snap. They kind of smack. Nigga, is this... This nigga's eating rice... Hold up. This nigga's eating Reese's Puffs with water. Reese's Puffs with water. Like, I would rather eat them dry. I'm not even trolling. I would rather eat them dry. What you... Like, that shit is too funny. Reese's Puff.
Because Anne Frank's head got stuck going down.
Nah, yeah,
so
no.
It clogged up.
You're being weird on God. Fucking weird.
Fuck up, bitch. You little stupid Jew.
Hey, hold on, Jake. Hold on,
What
Jake,
is he saying?
Hold
on. Oh, God. I can't.
Hey, Jake. Jake, unmute your mic. Do you know how to do that? You press the microphone button.
Hey, you know how to do that, nigga.
Hey, Jake.
Hey, God.
Hey, Jakey.
Hey.
What's your fine ass up to?
Nah, dude, what y'all doing?
Who you got, Trump or Biden?
Trump.
That was a trick question, Jake. All right, it was really Trump versus Kamala. Who you got?
Shit fucking up. Yo, Jake.
Okay, good.
Jake, I got a question.
Yeah.
All right, bro. This shit's done with, bro. This shit's cooked, bro. Like, he's capping and all that, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I just wanted to go live for that, bro. Let me see. Let's see. Let's see. Shit, fuck it. 5 ever, bro. All right, bro. Shout out Trump and Elon. That was a good space. I'm not gonna lie, they kind of repeated the same things over and over. Like, it's kind of like, I mean, we kind of get it now. Like, we clearly get what he wants to do and all that, but it is what it is, bro. That's me though. Peace, ho.
With you, but you were like the breeze when it's 1 under 3. Felt like if we don't sleep, then tomorrow's just a dream. Oh, I hope they don't find us tonight. If time could stand still, if I could change, maybe I'd have found the words to tell you, to tell you, say I could have stayed, yeah, forever. We look like a slasher film, cut up out of sequence, running from a crime scene. Baby, I'm still bleeding, and I can never go back. Yeah. I just want you to know that I've been staring at the ceiling, looking for a breach. Even in the silence, I can hear you say that it's just seconds away. But if time could stand still, if I could change, maybe I'd have found the words to tell you that I feel like I could puke my guts out if they weren't already on the floor. I feel like I